So the next.
Oh, this is interesting. So this is a significant change from our previous tier list.
Yes.
So you want to go ahead on this?
Necalli.
So Necalli somehow made it from the bottom of our tier list, and now all of a sudden he's standing next to Birdie in A-. How did this happen, Killy? How did this happen?
High Tawny? Not just High Tawny, to be honest. It's really tough because you have to look at Necalli with V-Trigger.
Yes.
And this is kind of the breaking point for Necalli. Necalli is designed with intentional weaknesses without V-Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But once he's in V-Trigger, it's just like he's like the best character in the game, or,
Yes.
or close to it.
Yes.
One of the best characters, like A+ tier type of thing. But you can't judge him solely on V-Trigger alone. It'd be like it's like when he doesn't have V-Trigger, he's like B tier.
Yeah.
But the minute he activates V-Trigger, he's like A+ kind of thing. And so this is kind of the compromise that I've made with the Necalli. If you look at it, it's like, okay, A- is where he kind of fits in here, where he's got these weaknesses, but once he gets his V-Trigger, he is insane, just an insane character.
Yeah, because like his V-Trigger lasts forever, so once he activates that, they have to deal with that for the rest of the round. Yeah, for sure.
So looking at his pros, he has a really strong offensive game once he gets in, like a really good mind game between frame traps and the command grab. And his frame traps are really strong.
Everything he does is basically a frame trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frame trap monster.
It's just crazy. But the problem is he does struggle to get in there when he doesn't have V-Trigger. He's got multiple anti-fireball moves, and so it really deters like predictable zoning patterns. Like his V skill is really good at, because it's like usually when you do fireball wars, it's like they nullify each other. But because his is like a seismo, it hits from the ground and it doesn't care about the fireball. So he can like hit you out of the startup of your fireball with the V skill, and it builds like almost a full stock of V gauge.
When I trade with projectiles with my V skill, I feel like it's in my favor. Like I feel like it's okay, whatever.
You take the one hit, you get the bar for hitting the V skill, but then you also get additional bar for taking the projectile
and
hit.
You get the knockdown from the seismo.
Yeah. So it's like then you continue with the V skill zoning, right? So he has zoning himself, but it's also a good anti-zoning attack. It's just really slow on startup. So if they read it and jump in on you, oh my god, you're gonna take some serious damage.
Yeah.
Disc guidance, which is his back forward punch move, it has that point of armor to go through projectiles.
Yeah.
And it does good damage. It does good corner carry, and it causes a knockdown.
Yeah, it's like combo filler and a tool. Yeah.
So it's like it's versatile, and it's really good when you land it against projectiles. Right, it gives you that momentum shift. His critical art also goes through projectiles. So overall, it's very hard to just straight up zone Necalli. You have to really switch up your zoning patterns, and because of that, it's very difficult to just play a pure zoning game against Necalli. His dive kick, it's super slow, but it does serve the purpose of throwing off anti-airs, at least with normals. If you have a good reversal, like an invincible attack, so that's the best way to handle his dive kick.
But he can convert off of it, and it's a hard kick. Like, it's a hard version of an attack.
Yeah.
And you can convert into a crouching light punch or standing light punch into the EX stomps, which is great. And then you can make that safe if you do the EX stomps. And it's just another tool to help Necalli get in with his poor neutral game compared to other characters.
He's got a really strong crush counter normals, and they all lead into massive damage.
Yeah.
Like, you land that stand heavy kick crush counter, it's like the worst thing to happen.
Yeah, man, you do not want to get crush counter against Necalli. This is one of the things that really bumps him up.
Yeah.
Is the amount of damage output he gets from a crush counter is so crazy.
And it lets him build that V gauge. So like crush counter is again about half a V gauge.
Yeah.
And then if you're close enough, you can actually combo into the target combo into V skill. So then you land that V skill hit, there's your other half of your V gauge.
Yeah, since Necalli has like one of the best V triggers, if not the best V trigger in the game, anything that builds V gauge is like crazy for Necalli, and they gave him so many tools for that.
Yeah. So he has a lot of means to build that V gauge. Even though he's 3 bars, he can build that pretty quickly if you get the right reads on the opponent. Obviously, he's got super high damage output, like just crazy damage output.
Yeah.
You throw in V trigger and it's even higher, and because of that, he has a really good like comeback factor, which is very dangerous.
One jump in with Necalli and it's like half the opponent's health. It's crazy.
It's so scary. He's got some pretty high damage anti-air options. The DPs are fully invincible, and they do multi-hits too. And in V-Trigger, they do even more hits, so even more damage.
Yep.
And then he's got that crush counter, crouch fierce. Now, it is pretty slow in regular mode, but in V-Trigger, it's like 2 or 3 frames faster.
Yep.
So it becomes a little bit more reliable, that crouch fierce anti-air. And then if you get the crush counter with it, he can do like disc guidance or the trip or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So he actually combos off of him, and that's pretty significant.
Yeah, it's funny because his DP used to be a charge attack at one point. So Capcom was fooling around with that. It used to be a down charge to up
Was
punch.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
in one of the betas. And
I can't remember.
Yeah, then people didn't like. We never got that in the beta phase.
Oh yeah,
it was during an event.
Yeah.
So people were panicking, right, to make a Necalli fully a charge character, and then Capcom decided to just make one of his moves a charge, which is the disc guidance.
Yeah.
So he has invincible anti-air. The only problem with that is that it's a little on the slower side on the startup. But his hard punch version is fully invincible, so it still makes Necalli a scary character to jump in on.
I think his EX version is like 3 frames startup.
Yep.
Yeah.
EX version is 3 frames, but his hard punch version, which is his
7
frame startup,
Yeah.
and that's his fully invincible one. But it still gives him a reversal option, right?
Yeah. His V trigger is just it's scary. Like once he activates V trigger, it's a momentum shift, and it gives him this like really good comeback factor.
You're playing against a different character once he activates.
Yeah. The whole match changes once he cracks V trigger.
Yeah.
Very dangerous. V trigger cancels give him really good frame advantage on hit and block, but like specifically on hit, he can just link off of the craziest things. Like stand. We see this with Haitani. Stand jab.
Yeah.
V trigger, and then you get like crouch strong or something.
Yeah,
like
crouch medium punch into stomp, and the crouch medium punch into stomp.
Yeah.
Or and if you land a crouching medium kick, you can convert that V trigger into a crouching hard punch, into disc guidance or hard stomp, into critical art. It's just such good. Like once he activates, like you can see the craziness happen right away. You know.
Even like if you manage to land stand jab at like max range.
Mm-hmm.
And then V trigger cancel, for some odd reason, he can link crouch fierce, crouch heavy punch off of that. It's like, what? Why does this work?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, man.
It's like, maybe it's sitting on the last few active frames, I'm not sure. But then he can link that crouch heavy punch after that V trigger activation. It's crazy. So lots of damage.
Enhances his punch attacks, enhances his special moves.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, his mobility is insane. His movement speed.
It's deceptively fast. Like his walk speed, he is the 3rd fastest character in the game once he activates.
And it doesn't seem like it, but he is.
He is. His walk speed is the 3rd fastest once he has V trigger on.
Yeah, and then you have his dash.
Oh my god.
Which is just insanity. You can cover the full screen in like two dashes.
Right.
And then I don't know if we mentioned this before, but his command grab. He has tools to open you up, and you add his command grab with that mobility. It's super scary, and then the EX version can allow a little mix-up afterwards too.
Yeah.
So everything is just crazy once he activates his V trigger.
Even his stomps, all of them become like plus on block.
Yeah. At least safer, but
I think they were +2.
I have to check. Like, there's like a whole section here for the stomps, but
+2.
+2 for the hard kick version, but -3, -1 for the light and medium.
Okay.
And the EX is -2, so safer. And the biggest thing is that his V trigger lasts forever, lasts for the entire round.
The entire round.
That's very unique for a character. So once he activates, he doesn't have to worry more. That gives Necalli the incentive to just, once he has V trigger, just activate.
Yeah.
Just outright activate, and then you're good to go from there.
You're a new character.
Yeah, you're a brand.
You're the best character in the game.
Like it's
close
just
to it.
yeah, it's just V trigger is just so game changing. Wow, we got so many more cons here with the V trigger. I think
we covered those.
We covered most of this?
Yeah.
Wow, you put a lot of information on the V trigger, but I'm pretty sure we made our point though.
Yeah. So going into his cons, he is intentionally designed to be weaker without his V trigger. You cannot overlook this.
Yes.
He's slow, like his walk speed's slow without V trigger. His dashes aren't as good without V trigger.
His command throw is one of the worst command throws in the game in terms of speed and range.
Yeah. His punch normals are slower, stuff like that. Like everything about Necalli is weaker without V trigger. But then once he activates, he's insane, right? So he's intentionally designed this way, but you cannot overlook it, and that's what prevents him from being a higher tier character. His footsie game is weak because of that slow walk speed, and he has like mediocre normals. Like stand heavy kick is great at that range, but it's so slow and it's very it's very telegraphed that like this is the normal that.
It's kind of like Ken's, like Ken syndrome, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's good and it's crush counter and high damage and all of that, but it's like it's slow and this is the normal that they go to because it's the only like range normal that they have. That's really good. And without V trigger, it's really hard for him to get into those desired ranges that he wants, like to be up close. Like he has to make good reads in order to get in that range. But once he's in that range, right? He can suffice without V trigger because of his frame trap game, his command grab game, stuff like that. The other part is he has to kind of prioritize between doing maximum damage or building V gauge. And when you have a decision like that, it kind of detracts because you don't have a single answer. You now have to make a conscious pro and con choice. It's like, do I want my V trigger as fast as possible, but I'm not going to land too many. I don't get these opportunities to land this many hits. So it's like, do I want to maximize my damage here? So it's that trade-off. The 3-bar V trigger, it does take a while to build if you're not landing your V skill or crush counters, which means that you might not be able to activate it until like you're at a huge life deficit, and that's pretty bad because he needs that V trigger ASAP.
Yeah, like we're basing this off of you're getting an average amount of V skills landed and you get to activate at a decent time. But if you don't meet that mark and you activate late in the match when you have very low amount of health, you're not be able to take advantage of such a huge benefit of using Necalli, and then he just becomes a mediocre character.
Yeah,
right?
because you can't take as many risks because you end up playing like defensively as a result.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of end up with his zoning with the V skill. Even though the V skill with V trigger, it's super fast. But like you're now forced in this position where you have to take less risk. You can't play up on all of his strengths. Yeah. And that's a problem. And because of that, this is why like Necalli, he's up there but not quite like top tier.
So this was like another character that you and me kind of had a little troubles figuring out where to put him because we had him so low before, and we definitely knew like we had to raise him up, especially after seeing all the results and success with Necalli. He's a pretty explored character too. He's actually pretty popular, surprisingly, out of the newer characters in Street Fighter V, and I really like the idea of how High Tiny plays Necalli, where he constantly uses his V skill throughout the match, and he knows that his neutral is bad, so he uses his V skill to tempt the opponent to want to jump in or to come after him. Like, stop playing footsies with me, try to come after me kind of thing. And that's great because if the opponent doesn't, then eventually he'll get to that V trigger much faster. Yeah. And I also like how High Tiny also, usually if he feels like he can't get that proper activation for a combo, he'll just outright activate. He's like, here we go, right? Yeah. And I think that's the proper way to play Necalli right now, for sure.
But let's talk about how other players rank Necalli. Okay. The Japanese really feel Necalli is a strong character. Like, Momochi puts him as top 5. Like, okay. Like, he really feels Necalli is that strong. Okay. Tokido feels like Necalli in the Beecher, he's the best character in the game. Okay. Which is... I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. He is one of the strongest characters in the game with there. He's like close to being the best. Like, He is really strong, no doubt about it. But then if we look at Shady K, L.I. Joe, and Kim1234, they don't have Necalli in top 5. They don't really know where to put Necalli. Like he's like crazy. Actually, Shady K thinks Necalli's the worst character in the game.
Which technically you would have agreed with us, a month ago, right?
So I don't know if his opinion has changed. And even though he said he felt that he was the worst character in the game, it's like they also agree like the tier list is super compressed. So even then, it's like it's not that big of a deal. But obviously, like when he said that, I know L.I. Joe and Kim1234 are like, you're crazy. There's no way Necalli's like the worst in the game. So there's a lot of controversy on like where Necalli should be placed. So that's kind of interesting.
I really feel like just everything that makes or breaks this character, where we put him, is all entirely on the V trigger. And the thing is that since the V trigger is so unique, where it lasts forever, and he has such great tools to build up that 3 gauge quickly, it kind of makes it more viable to just say, okay, look, we know he's going to be in V trigger a lot of the time, and because of that, he's going to be way up there as a character compared to most. That's where we kind of put Necalli right now.
Some people might also want to say when he's in V-Trigger, he doesn't get access to V-Reversal at all, but it's like, it's so minor, I think. I don't think it's that big of a deal that he doesn't have access to V-Reversal. I feel it's no different than any other character of an install-based V-Trigger to not have access to
And he still has an invincible reversal, in worst-case scenario. So that's true, too. So do you think there's anything they should change with Necalli?
No, I like where his balance is right now, because he is designed with an intentional weakness, but the pro that he gets when his V-trigger is activated, like I like the good juxtaposition with his V-trigger, right? Where it's like, it's so strong. It's 3 bars. It's permanently active. He's crazy when he's got his V-trigger, but you can't make the normal version of him as good. He has to have weaknesses, and then when he activates, it's like, it reminds me of like some Guilty Gear characters, like Abba, for example. Like Abba, when she doesn't have Mahora mode on or whatever like that, she's like weak, but then when she gets like a blood pack or she does the key grab on you, she becomes one of the best characters in the game. It's a very similar concept.
Yeah, I don't know really what to change with Necalli either. Before, like when we have him really low, we'd say he's too reliant on his V-trigger, but now
you have to have that pro and con to him. Yeah,
it's just so powerful. It's so powerful. But I feel like Necalli's fine right now.
The fact that people think he's one of the best characters in the game, like you can't really mess around with him too much. There's a character that if you try to fine balance him, he either gets too much or he gets nerfed to the ground, kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful with that.
Yeah, for sure. If there's anything they would change with him, though, I think it'd be more along the lines when he's not in V-trigger. But he's got an overhead, he's got a command throw. His command throw is not the best, but it's still options that he has to open you up. And he's got a 3-frame jab, like standing and crouching without V-trigger, which is really nice to have. It's rare, so yeah, I think Necalli's in a good spot. You want to move on?
Yeah. So the next character...
this is the last character in A-.
Yeah.
So this was a change.
Yes.
This was a change. We had this character up higher, so someone has moved down. So which character is this?
It is Dhalsim.
Dhalsim!
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. He is still a strong character. But,
A- is strong.
But like, as we see more play with him, and we're seeing the tourney results, he has these weaknesses. More weaknesses we're seeing in him that prevent him from like maintaining that A-tier status from before.
Yeah. He kind of is running into this little flowchart now.
Yeah. So like almost predictable linear gameplay.
Yeah, we're starting to see it now. Like it seems like almost most of the Dhalsim players are kind of all doing kind of the same thing, and it's getting to the point where it's really predictable now. And because of that, like Dhalsim's always had crazy weaknesses as a character by his design, but now we're starting to see
more of it.
Yeah, see more of it.
So moving into his pros, he's a versatile character that can shift between zoning and rushdown, which is unheard of for Dhalsim before.
Yes.
Well, not unheard of. That's
Street Fighter EX Dhalsim.
well, not just that. There's other Street Fighters where Dhalsim was rushed down. That's that's not accurate for me to say. But yeah, for Dhalsim in this game, yes, the fact that he can switch between the two is a huge asset.
Yes.
And a far departure to his SF4 counterpart.
Like he can rush you down and start damaging you like crazy, and then if he wants to stick with the life lead, all of a sudden he could just become old school Dhalsim again and just zone you out. It could be super annoying because of that. He can shift gears so crazy.
Yeah, and that's really important. His normals are so far ranged, and then he's got that arc, and like before people saw this as a con. Because it's a parabola. It's like, oh, I can't zone you with fireball. It's not having a horizontal fireball is such a bad thing. But this fireball controls airspace, and like if he slides afterwards, like the timing of the slide from when he shoots that fireball and when he slides, it's so perfect that when the slide disadvantage starts, the fireball hits. And then he's plus on block now. Yeah,
and it covers him. And then if it hits, then it knocks into the fireball, and he can
then he gets a fat combo afterwards, like Crouch Fierce into Yoga Flame and stuff like that. It's really strong. But if we're talking about his rushdown game, if he spaces his drills out properly, he's plus. TK Gale, he's like insanely plus. And then his teleports, they'll all leave him plus if he's doing it right. Like, all these things, they leave him plus on block, and he's doing like a lot of pressure. Good white damage too, because he's using fierce buns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His combos, they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy for a zoner.
Like he goes teleport, jump fierce, crouch fierce, and then Yoga Flame, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's huge damage. And then it's like, oh, he lands lights, okay. EX Yoga Flame. It's huge damage. Like, good damage. This is something like Dhalsim didn't have in SF4 and some of the other incarnations of them.
Like, so, yeah, and then the fact that he gets, like, juggles after his hard punch Yoga Flame, like, it's crazy. Like, he go back hard punch, Yoga Flame, standing hard kick. You can do that mid-screen. It's, like, one of the highest punishing combos in the game.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
His V-trigger, it allows him to safely cancel his unsafe slides, and they do decent damage. And you can get a reset off of it, I think. But if they block it, he's like +4.
Oh, really?
Something like that.
Okay.
I think his V trigger leaves him at +4. So it's like, it's really good overall.
It forces your opponent to make an action right away.
Yeah.
He has got to do something about it, whether it hits or not. Right?
Yeah, and then once it's activated, they're taking that white life damage for sitting in the flames. And if Dhalsim like drags the screen back, like if he moves back and he drags the screen back and keeps you on the flames, you can't really do anything about it. You can't move forward because he's ready for you to anti-air you and stuff like that. So
you're forced to just up back.
Yeah, you have to literally just up back and take small amounts of white damage each time.
And it looks really silly in tournaments,
But you have to, because that's the only way you can mitigate the amount of white life damage you're taking. And then from there, it's like there's a risk coming in. If you get hit afterwards, there goes all the white life.
And you expect the opponent to play super defensive after you have so much white health built up, but Dhalsim can easily open you up. He can teleport. He has instant overheads, a ton of them.
Yeah.
That can just open you up. So he's got all the tools he needs to open you up. It's really good. Yeah.
Even though he's like slow, he's got some unconventional movement methods, and it makes him one of the fastest characters in the game. Not necessarily super fast, but it does make him a fast character. Despite slow walk speed and floaty jumps. So his teleports, Yoga Float, like they give him these mobility options. So even though he's slow, he's still all over the place. He's got pretty good mix-ups, even like within the context of SF5. There's not like too many good mix-ups besides Armika and some of the grappler characters. But for like Dhalsim, he's got some pretty good mix-ups going for him. His teleports and stuff like that, like, do create some decent left-right stuff going on if you covered the approach properly.
Yeah, and a good reversal option too, man.
Yes,
it's really frustrating. It really is.
So moving into his cons, he has the lowest health and stun in the game. 900 health, 900 stun. This is the lowest spectrum of health and stun.
The most vulnerable character.
Yeah. Slow walk speed, obviously, and the floaty jump. They're very bad for him. But for good reason, right? Because of his normals. They're long range, so he can't be too fast.
No.
But the jump is like, it's your death sentence.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Like, the lack of trip guard in this game, or like the longer it takes for trip guard to activate. I'm pretty sure trip guard doesn't even exist in this game. You can really punish a bad jump from Dhalsim. You can like wait until he's like just about to land and then get a full grounded punish, right?
I think he's -2. I think it's -2, but I have to check that later.
So it's like, if you happen to block like those instant overheads, like that jump back jab or whatever, Dhalsim is going to lose. If you time your punish properly, Dhalsim is going to lose a lot of life. He is a very technical character, and he requires high execution.
The highest, I think.
Otherwise, you leave yourself punishable block.
One dropped input.
Like, if you drop a TK Yoga Gale or TK Teleport, and he's in the air jumping, it's like, what happens is like he ends up doing a jump normal, and then you gotta deal with all that recovery, and the opponent can just walk and follow you along, and then get that full grounded punish. It's like a fierce or roundhouse starter.
He can completely plan his attack. He can completely plan it out. He's basically licking his lips while you're in the air, and you're screwed.
It's so bad. So you can't mess up your execution with Dhalsim. And we've seen like F-Champ and stuff like that. They pay heavily when this happens.
He's probably done like, over 1 million TK teleports.
Yeah.
And if you drop it just once, man, it's like boom, yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
He's very spacing dependent. Obviously, like when you're playing the mid-range and long-range game, your normals, you got to place that out properly. But also when you're using his drills and his slides, right, you have to space those out perfectly. The drill has to hit at the tip, otherwise you're negative on block, like really negative on block. And the slides are all negative on block too, so you got to be really careful if you're spacing. So if you mess up just slightly, again, you open yourself up to punishment. As usual with Dhalsim, he struggles on defensive. He has no reversal attack, and he has to rely on that V reversal to get him out of trouble. But the V reversal is kind of like mediocre-ish. It's not that great.
Yeah, it's a little on the slow side.
And because he has this reliance on V reversal on when he's on the defensive, he can't use his V trigger that often. And that's also bad, because that's also one of his kind of reset to neutral tools. It's like, very often you'll see people, they pressure Dhalsim, and then when they get to that where my turn is done, you see Dhalsim, first thing they do is like slide into V trigger.
Every time, man.
Every time.
Yeah, it's really predictable.
The V trigger damage potential of the white life is situational. It's not guaranteed. It allows for some space control and resetting momentum, but it's like, because it's not guaranteed, it's kind of like, it's iffy.
Sometimes it could be really good, and sometimes it could be completely useless.
Yeah.
And that's scary, right?
Yeah, so it's not a guaranteed thing. It's a risk-reward type of scenario. The V-trigger block string, like that slide into V-trigger, is easily countered by a strike-type V reversal. So, and we've seen this in tournament before. It's like, you see the slide, and you see the V-trigger flash or something like that, and then the V reversal, it hits Dhalsim, and then that's it. He doesn't even get the flame carpet at all. It's just because they hit him out of his V-trigger.
That's a really big weakness.
And so that hurts him significantly, because now his V trigger has been rendered useless altogether. Like, he gets nothing out of it.
And now he can't V reversal anymore.
Yeah. So it's very, very problematic for Dhalsim in when people have like a strike type V reversal.
So overall, we had Dhalsim in A, and now we feel like people are exploring him a lot more now. We're starting to see his weaknesses. We're starting to see like a kind of like a meta with him. He's starting to be a little predictable, a little flow chart going on.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, with that V reversal counter, which a lot of characters have that strike V reversal, it really hurts him. Like, that's a big weakness for a character like Dhalsim. That's a big part of his game. And with the technicality of the character too, and such low health and stun, you can't make a single mistake. It's hard to put the character higher right now, I feel.
Yeah.
Dhalsim is still one of the best characters. but he just out of the weaknesses of the top characters in this game, he's got some of the biggest weaknesses. Of just you can't make a mistake with this guy. You're gonna get blown up for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what do you think they should change with Dhalsim?
That's another character that's like one of the hardest to modify because zoning characters are the type where you give them a little and they take a mile.
Yeah.
Right. You can't give them too many tools to improve their zoning, otherwise you'll never. It might be too much and you never get in on them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take away too much from them, like what they did with SF4, then they become garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's really tough
Mm-hmm.
with like how to balance Dhalsim. But I think he's in a good spot, to be honest. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he's A minus, like that's really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to like mess around with it too much because this is one of the best incarnations of Dhalsim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I could easily see a Dhalsim winning a major, eventually.
Yeah.
Just eventually. It's very close. What do you think about his V trigger being countered during the block stream? Do you think that's fair?
It's
so easy to do. It's so easy to do. The screen flashes.
Yeah.
The guy has a million years to confirm it, and it just makes it useless. It makes it scary for Dhalsim. I think Dhalsim doesn't want to just do it raw. It's a positional thing, you know.
But you can't always just get it for free, right? Not everyone gets a free V trigger activation kind of thing. So I don't mind that kind of weakness in it, but it does hurt him quite a bit. But like if he lands it right, like the potential that he gets out of it is huge. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know. Like you hit him out of it. It also looks weird because I hit him before he actually breathes the fire. So it makes sense that he doesn't get to leave the flame carpet down.
Yeah. Yeah, Dhalsim, he's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah.
Moving on?
Yep.
Oh, that's it for
That's
A minus.
A minus. So we're into the A tier.
Okay, so what kind of characters would be in the A tier?
This is a character that when we talked about them in previous betas, we ranked them highly. And then when the final game came out, we thought they were lower. And then as you saw tournament results and more exploration, the character rose back up into A tier status where we had them there previously in the beta phases.
Like what characters you think like would fit in the A
tier?
Yeah.
Strong neutral game, more advantageous matchups than the majority of the cast, and minimal weaknesses.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's our first character we're going to talk about?
Karin.
Yeah, Karin, she kind of moved a little up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
We had her really low at first because
we had her in the beta phases as A tier before. We always felt Karin was a strong character in the beta phases. She had some really ridiculous tools in the earlier beta phases, like some really good resets going, and that's what kept her like up there. And then they removed them and stuff like that. And so when the final game came out, we thought like she kind of struggled because there were some other balance changes they made in the beta phases. So they kind of carried over into the final game. We thought that made Karin weaker. But then this is another character that got explored heavily. And as more things were discovered with the character and we see how people are playing that strong neutral game that we always thought she had and like start putting that into play, the character came back up to being A tier. So going into her pros, she has good walk speed and good buttons to accompany that walk speed.
That's
to play
the
footsie.
recipe for A tier, man.
It really is. Like if you have a strong neutral game, you're pretty much in that A tier status.
Yeah.
So her mid-range poke, stand medium kick, crouch medium kick, standing heavy kick, which is also a really good crush counter normal, crouching heavy kick, probably the best sweep in the game.
So annoying, man.
Like all of these mid-range pokes are amazing, like really good, especially that standing medium kick too.
Yes,
like, it's so oppressive. But then when she gets in close, she's also really good. Like her close normals are amazing. Again, stand medium kick is good up close. Crouching medium kick's good. Standing light kick. I meant standing light kick. Standing light kick is amazing. That normal hits so far for a light attack. It's 4 frames startup, but it's +3 on block.
That's crazy.
And on counter hit, she can link into like crouching medium kick or crouching or standing medium punch, stuff like that. So it's like on counter hit, she gets a good combo starter off of it. Very, very dangerous normal. And it makes her throw and frame trap game good. Standing medium punch, I think that is +2 or 1 on block.
+1 on block.
+1 on block, and then crouch medium punch is then +2, right? Yeah. So both of those are really strong frame trap tools. And then you couple that with standing light kick. It feels like she can just walk stand light kick and then start using stand medium punch or crouch medium punch.
It's like buttons the character, man.
Like just in your face.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to deal with. And then next thing you know, you're getting thrown or you get shimmied, and it's just like, oh, very, very scary character up close if they know how to use all her tools properly. So like all these normals are also good for her footsie game. Like that she can harass, but then she doesn't. She can wait and then whiff punish you afterwards with something huge. She's got pretty good damage and stun output, but she needs meter for it. But it can add up pretty quickly. She's also one of the few characters that actually have options to run Oki game. So like after a knockdown, she actually gets some mix-ups off of it. And her bread and butter combos lead into that kind of Oki game. So it's pretty rare for most characters.
Such as what, though?
So if she lands the Just Frame Tenko,
Yep.
and then she goes Light Kick Mujinkaku, if they quick rise, it actually puts her in the position for cross-up, not cross-up too. And then if they back tech, it doesn't cross-up, but it's like it's a very meaty jumping medium kick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why you see most people end it in that way, and then they do a jump forward.
Oh,
so she gets that, and then
so you don't want to quick rise.
You can you don't want to quick rise against it. You want to back tech.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that in the commentary. Like someone was saying, "Stop quick rising."
I think it was Marn.
Yeah, he's like, "Stop quick rising," because it
kept getting hit by
you don't want to do
cross-up.
that. Yeah.
So it actually, and if she loops, it hits, then she can do it again.
Like she's got a weird arc on her jump. Like it covers a lot of ground, surprisingly, and her cross up is great.
Her jump knee kick's really good.
Yeah.
So besides that, though, she's also got good resets both in the corner and mid screen. But if she does the mid screen one, she needs meter. So what happens is usually she'll go EX Orochi mid screen, which causes the crumple state. And then she can go like stand fierce or stand strong into the EX command dash, and then she gets a left right from there. But in the corner, she has we haven't really seen this too much in tournament play, but someone found out that if you get Just Frame Tenko, normally you can't juggle afterwards. It just doesn't hit. But if you whiff a jab first and then do a crouch jab, the crouch jab hits, and then you can cancel that into the command dash, or you can just go forward dash afterwards, and you get a left-right mix-up going.
Ugh.
And then from there, it's like, okay, you put them out of the corner, but then if you use meter, you can do that mid-screen mix-up. So like damage and stun gets going, and then you're dead. Next thing you know, you're dead. But we haven't really seen that applied in matches just yet. And then you got her V-trigger, and they have some built-in mix-ups as well. Orochi's strong, like her shoulder tackle, which they call Orochi. It's a strong tool. Sorry, go back right there. Okay. It's a strong and versatile kind of special because it's safe on block. It's only -2, so it is safe. It does end your pressure, but it creates a mind game between like command dash and you throw, or you do a command dash and a late Orochi to kind of frame trap them. Because the only way to stop that command dash is to push a button, right? Especially if she's canceling off of her normals, because it's minus, so you can like kind of jab her out of it. But if she cancels into the Orochi, she actually like hit that normal sometimes. So you can also hit confirm into it. And it's like it's super cancelable, so you can cancel into her critical art afterwards. But then you can also juggle into it, right? You go just frame Tenko into Orochi right afterwards. It's one of the trials. And then the EX version like crumples and leads to resets too. So this move is really strong tool in her arsenal. Extra Senha, it's her good anti-air, but it's also a good reversal option.
Every Karin player uses it, and it's so annoying.
So you got to be very careful with it though, too, like because I mean reversals put people in crush counter states.
This is my favorite reversal to punish.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite one. I love it when Karin players do this and I block it. It feels so good to punish them.
I personally like punish crush countering Chun's spinning bird kick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because a lot of people like to use that.
Yeah, that one's a little too. It's just something about the Karin one that's so satisfying. Yeah,
because they like to go to it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Her critical art is amazing. Like, it's also like gives her huge comeback factor because there are so many ways to combo into this critical art. It is insane.
And you complement the character with speed and normals.
It's just
you're like gonna see it every time.
It's just like how consistently Karin lands her critical art is insane. Like,
because Capcom loves the laugh, so they want to hear it as much as
possible. Yeah, the fans have embraced that laugh even in tournaments. It's like the new raise the Rufus for Jay Wong now. But it's also fast. Like, it's a good raw punish against like stuff that would be hard to punish normally. And it does incredible damage. You always feel like you're not going to kill, and then when you see that like 1-inch kind of palm strike, it's just boom, and then all that damage comes in. And you're like, he's dead.
Yeah, 340 damage.
So it's really strong critical art. Her V skill is kind of versatile too. Like, it's a combo ender. After Tenko, if you want to build V gauge, fully charged, it's a solid mid-range poke in the footsie game. It's only like -1, I think. Yeah, -1 on block. But it also nullifies fireballs, and it hits the opponent at the same time. So if you got the spacing and timing down right, and they throw a fireball, it'll nullify the fireball, keep going, and then hit them afterwards, and that causes a knockdown, right? Like, get the momentum going for it. It's a very it's a pretty strong V skill. It's not like amazing, but it's pretty good. Now, in terms of her V trigger, it creates a lot of mind games because it has all these built-in mix-ups. But it's kind of good and bad. A lot of her built-in mix-ups, they're not true block strings, so you can just like jab her out of it. But then if she goes for the punch follow-up or the slide follow-up, it's like a smaller gap and it can counter hit jabs. But then she's got the backdash to kind of bait out reversals, because that's like the number one way to counter all of those options, right? Just reversal out of it. So it's pretty good, but there is some weaknesses to it, which kind of leads us into her cons. So starting with her cons, first of all, she's got below average health and stun. 900 health, so that's on the lowest spectrum, but then 950 stun. So she can't take too many hits, otherwise she gets stunned very easily or dies very quickly. She does have a very linear gameplay. It makes her attack approaches very telegraphed, right? Like, it's very, you kind of know what button she's going to push at what places. Yeah. Right? So when you're playing the mid-range game, if you got a character that has equally good neutral tools, like, this is where Karin kind of struggles. Let's take Ken, for example. Both of their stand roundhouses are kind of similar in like the way it looks, the way they want it. They're both crush counters.
Both -4.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ken is longer range, so it's like when you play against Ken, you can't really fish for it because Ken's gonna be out of your range and then crush counter you with his stand heavy kick, right? So it's just that's part of some of her issues there. But she does have a way better neutral game than Ken. Like, her Fritzy game is top notch. The majority of her special moves are really unsafe on block or on whiff, right? Like, take the overhead Rasenha, right? That thing is -6 on block. And then if they try to do any one of the follow-ups, right, you counter hit it with a jab, then you can start linking into medium normals and do like punish her really hard for that. And then if she tries to do the command grab overhead thing, you crouch it because there's no threat of an overhead regularly, and she eats a fat punish for that. Tenko, if you miss your Tenko, it's super punishable on block too. EX versions of those are punishable on block. I don't know. She got a lot of specials. Command dashes aren't frame advantage too. They're also minus. Yeah. Right, like a lot of. Mujinkaku. If like because it's 2 kicks. If you do it at like max range of your crouching medium kick, that second kick is guaranteed to whiff. And a lot of characters, they can just do a heavy button starter as their punish. So it's like a lot of her specials, like almost all of them, are unsafe on block. So it's something you have to confirm into. Not like a huge con, but it's like, yes, it is pretty it's pretty detrimental to her game. Like, you have to make sure you confirm into these specials, otherwise you're gonna die. Her V trigger mix-ups have gaps, as I mentioned. They're unsafe. You can poke them out of it, but they also require heavy conditioning to get the mix-ups or the frame trap to work. So in short sets, it doesn't really work the way that you want it to work. Right? It has to be. It's mostly beneficial in longer sets. To get that mind game working, because you can use the backdash to see their response, and if they're mashing jab, then you can go for the frame trap type thing where you do the punch or kick follow up, and if you have super, you confirm into super from there. So that's kind of one of, like, the V trigger is good, but it's like it has some definite cons to it. She also needs EX meter to anti-air or like reversal. So her normals that are used for anti-airs, they're very situational. Like the stand fierce is like, it's good for like cross-ups, I guess, but like when they're jumping in straight into you, it's not that
great. The rainbow punch?
Yeah.
What about our crouching hard punch? Is that an anti-air?
It does, but again, it's slow and it moves her forward, so it kind of throws off your spacing and timing. So it's not like as reliable. So there's some definite issues with her anti-air game. She's also a very execution-intensive character too, bias of 5 standards. Like her max damage combo is like, without super, it's like just frame Tenko into light kick Mujinkaku into EX Tenko into EX Orochi. But you got to do that so fast. That sequence has to be so fast.
I saw Justin dropping that.
Like Justin drops it quite a bit. Mago's a little bit more consistent with it, but I think I've seen him drop it as well. So like that does a lot of damage and stun, but it's a tough combo to do. So like, and like just the whole just frame Tenko thing also, just the fact that it is a just frame move, like it requires more execution from the player. So that's one of her drawbacks for sure. So that kind of covers like the pros and cons of Karin. But if we're looking at what should be changed within Karin,
the thing is with Karin is that, you know, some people think she's like really bad, and some people think she's really good.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that changes is that they're like, oh, all of her special moves suck.
Yeah.
Her mix-up game sucks. Her V-trigger is useless.
Yeah.
Because you can just jab out of everything. But the thing is that she doesn't even need these tools.
No, she doesn't.
It's like she has a ton of cons, but the cons don't matter when it comes down to the pros, you know? And using her V-trigger to gain information rather than going for that mix-up game, and you know, not just doing random rainbow punch and hopefully if you just play it strong and you stick to those 3 core normals, light kick, medium kick, crouching hard kick, you know, you're on your way. That's all you need with her. She's very rewarding to play.
But like, if we look at Mago and Justin, the 2 prominent Karin players right now, we can see that stark contrast of there. Justin with a stronger footsie game than Mago does really well with the character. Mago does well as well, but it's just like he gets like beaten by other characters and players a little bit more consistently. And he's failed to, well, he got 3rd place at final round, but then he failed to make top 8 at NCR.
Yes.
But then you got Armika, and then I don't know who he lost to in losers. I can't remember.
Sorry,
I think it might have been Justin. I don't know. I know he's lost to Justin in the mirror match, and I feel like that comes down to the fundamentals.
Okay.
And Justin's footsie game is so good.
Okay.
And that's where I feel Karin really shines. Is her footsie game is really strong. Her shimmy game is amazing.
Yeah.
And then
good
she's
walk speed.
Always like landing that critical art. Like you always see that critical art with Karin. Even Mago and like Justin, they always land that critical art. So she has like high damage output, like a little bit of a, not necessarily like comeback factor, but it's like she can clutch it out. She can definitely clutch it out, but you have to pull that off yourself with your fundamental game. That's why this character like really suits Justin.
As for changes for Karin, like she's already really strong, but I do feel like Capcom should improve like her mix-up game is kind of just unintuitive. It's weird. Like the up flip grab doesn't make sense because there's no threat
off of Rasenha. It makes no sense because
it's like
there's no overhead threat off of it. But then it would have been too good. Like, and I think the only reason why it's in there is because her V trigger version has it, and it's actually viable in the V trigger version because she can cancel Gurenken into Rasenha. And when you're canceling into a Senha, you also then can cancel instead into that overhead command grab thing where they have to block standing, but it command grabs standing characters. So that's the only time where that actually becomes an actual application for it.
And then what about her V trigger? Like her V trigger is very lackluster.
It is, but I think that's okay. You don't want to give her a very strong V trigger when her neutral tools are so strong, because it's like, okay, we give you all of these tools. When you don't have V trigger, the V trigger just kind of complements your tools.
Okay.
Right. But if you give her all these strong tools and then her V trigger is strong on top of that, this character would be ridiculous, right? Which is kind of why Chun-Li is kind of up there.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm okay with that. I think I would like to see better anti-airs from her, better normal anti-airs. Her like, it just seems so inconsistent.
Okay.
I think that's an issue. I don't know whether that'd make her too OP because you can't jump in on her. But it's just like every other character has some pretty consistent anti-airs, and I feel Karin just lacks anti-airs in general without EX meter.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about Karin?
Nope, that's pretty much it. So our next A tier character.
Yeah, this one, another tricky character.
This character has gone through a lot of different placements in our tier list since Beta Phase 1. And he kind of ended up landing back where we had him at Beta Phase 3.
Okay.
And that's Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu. Yeah. The Ordinary Man is A tier.
So last time we had him at B tier, I think. B or B plus.
In the middle somewhere. Yeah.
So what changed?
Well, the thing is that we were seeing some really good play from Ryu lately.
Yes.
Some really good results with him. And the funny thing is the results for him are not even pushing the ceiling of Ryu.
Yeah. Just
Tokido,
more potential.
right off the bat, Tokido, right, is really showing Ryu. And he's not even using his V skill yet. He's not even fully utilizing it.
Yeah.
And just showing the amazing hit confirms, one of the best medium punches in the game, +6 on hit,
Yeah. It's
plus
crazy.
3 on block. It is absurd. And then it confirms the super. Ryu's got one of the best supers in the game because it's a long range, 4-frame startup super. And then you got the guard crush setups on top of that, where some characters can't even deal with it properly.
Yeah.
And it allows for really good comebacks and really cool stuff for that. And
he's like one of the few characters that can create checkmate situations.
yeah. And Ryu is just, yeah, he's super good. And we had him in the middle because, like, we figured, like, oh, he just, doesn't have too many pros. Like, he has all the tools, right? But now we're starting to see some unique advantages that Ryu has that we didn't see before, pretty much. So let's start with the pros. Has a variety of tools to handle a variety of situations. So yes, Ryu is one of the most recommended characters to learn when you're first starting off Street Fighter because he has every tool he needs to win, and that's definitely a pro. Every character has some type of weakness, but Ryu is kind of like he's in the middle. He's
like a good way to learn the game because he has all the tools. He teaches you the various different play styles, right? Offense, defense, zoning.
Yeah. Everything he needs. The entire game is balanced around Ryu himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Solid offensive game with a good throw game, throw bait game, and frame traps. He has it all, man. Good movement speed. His shimmy is really strong. You go into his target combo. He has, like, decent crush counters. The threat of that standing medium punch makes him so crazy too, and he's got some of the easiest frame traps in the game. Crouching light punch, standing medium punch, standing medium punch, standing medium punch. It's so crazy. His offensive game is so good, and then if you land any of these, the damage output is ludicrous, right? For such a good offensive game. Fast, short-ranged forward dashes that are good for pressing offense. So Ryu's got a really good forward dash, like a really good one, and his back dash is good too, which can create like a shimmy on its own.
The fact that it puts some inside the range of his stand fierce or stand heavy punch. That's crazy. Like it's so short range, but it's so fast, and it puts him at that perfect range for stand heavy punch. Like when Daigo showed us this for the first time, we're like, wow, that is crazy. I've never seen anyone do that before.
Yeah.
So he sets it up so perfectly because he's like, okay, I'm gonna dash in, I'm gonna dash back, and I'm gonna go fierce heavy punch.
Yeah.
And it's like, he dashed in, I want to throw. Oh crap! Why am I eating a heavy punch?
Yeah,
right now?
man.
It's like crush counter. You're like, crap.
It's so good, man. High damage and stun output with and without V trigger. Yeah, Ryu has got some of the strongest bread and butter combos in the game. You eat one jump in, one cross up, you're eating insane damage. If he gets one good read on a V skill on you, you're gonna eat insane damage. Just crouching hard punch into uppercut does more damage than some characters' bread and butters. It is insane. The punishes with this character. The damage output is so high for Ryu. Jumping light kick hitbox extends beyond the hurt box and is the only jumping normal that behaves this way. It makes it extremely difficult to anti-air without an invincible reversal, so Ryu gets a lot of uncontested jump-ins. This is another main factor on why we're bumping Ryu up in the tier list. He has a crazy jumping normal.
Tokido is the one that showed us the way on this one.
You want to explain this jumping light kick? What makes this like so much more unique than other characters? Like,
because it's exactly as you said, the hitbox. The hitbox on this jumping light kick. It has more of a vertical range on it, and it actually extends past his hurt box. So when you're actually trying to anti-air it, it's like it's gonna hit you before you can actually hit him, because you have to hit his hurt box. But the hurt box is behind this hitbox, so the hitbox is shielding his hurt box, basically, right?
It's crazy.
So and that's the problem. You need an invincible reversal or like a good anti-air normal that has a hurt box lower than your hitbox, and there are a couple characters that can do that. But it makes Ryu's jumping normals, like his jump ins, really hard to anti-air, and a lot of people try to anti-air it, and then they get hit, and then he gets light confirm into DP.
And it's scary because, like I said, he's got some of the best frame traps in the game. You don't want him to get close
like
that.
Yeah, so then you're like, I can't anti-air him, you block, and then next thing you know, he's in your face, and that's already a bad situation. Like, oh, I'm going to do jumping light kick, backdash, and you're like, and then you eat that fierce punch in the face.
Yeah, and I even seen like Infiltration have problems anti-airing it. He had to like make some adjustments. Okay, this normal doesn't work. This normal doesn't work. Like, what is
this
the
range doesn't work, right?
Yeah, you have to figure it out on the fly, and it's funny, man. Jumping light kick, man,
it's crazy.
V skill is a double-edged sword, but has the most potential in opening up Ryu-specific punish opportunities. Yeah, so this is what we mean about Ryu's ceiling. The ceiling for Ryu is super high, and this is why there is some controversy where people feel like Ryu might even be one of the best characters in the game.
They put him, if we go back to what other players say, Momochi puts him as top 2. A lot of the Japanese players do feel he's like top 2 characters in the game.
And I can understand that.
I think in the Shady K, Kim1234, and Li Joe, they put Ryu in top 5.
Okay.
So
everyone puts him high. The thing with the V skill is that it's not perfect. It's not the most perfect parry. It's got startup. It's got recovery. You can't cancel it.
Counter hit state.
Yeah, it puts you in a counter hit state. There is so much risk to it, but the reward is crazy high. Most of the time you can punch with a crouching hard punch into uppercut and get an insane amount of damage. So once people get a better understanding of the game, they'll start countering things that are very predictable. Like right now, things that are very predictable that are like moonsault.
Yeah.
Slash from Nash. That's an easy parry into full damage. But pretty soon, more things are gonna get parried, such as like people that are spamming the same normals over and over again.
Or certain block strings that have bigger gaps in them.
Yeah. And if the read makes the right read, that's enough to win the round. Like if Nash sticks out like a forward hard kick, for example, gets caught with something, it could be it could be the round. It could be game changing. And Ryu players will eventually have to live and die by this to take them to the top.
But that's the thing, though. It's like that the threat of the V skill, someone who's good with V skill, it automatically seals attacks from or techniques from other players.
It's got a hidden passive. It's like a deterrent.
Yeah. Just like, I can't use this attack anymore. I can't use like Nash. I can't use moonsaults anymore because the parry, it's an easy parry and I get punished. So I can't use this move anymore. It takes away a tool. So that's very, very strong in itself. But the player has to really bring that out. And that's where it's hard with Ryu. Is that V skill has that weakness. So it's, like I said, it's a double-edged sword.
Okay, V reversal startup is good and causes a knockdown on hit. Yeah, Ryu's V reversal is good, but he's still got an invincible reversal if he wants to. But if he's trapped in the corner and he wants to relieve pressure, he has a knockdown V reversal, and like with his complements, a really good dash that he has too. I'm not sure exactly what plus he is after his V reversal, but I can check that.
He's also got like really solid anti-airs too. I mean, we all know he's got the DP, the EX DP also, 3 frames I think. And then Crouch Fierce is a good DP. Stand Jab is a good anti-air. Yeah. Sorry, Crouch Fierce is not good. Crouch Fierce is a good anti-air. Stand Jab, good anti-air. So he's got options, right? It's very hard to jump in on Ryu if the person's on point.
His V reversal is... Well, it's -2 on block. I'm trying to see if they mentioned his dash. No, it doesn't mention it. But I'm sure he has a setup because his dash is so good. Where are we right now?
We're at V-Trigger.
V-Trigger is 2 bars allowing for potential multiple activations in one round. Beneficial properties are faster fireball. So yes, Ryu's zoning game gets kicked up a notch when he activates the V-Trigger. It's very scary once he activates. All the fireballs cause knockdown. You get hit by one, and then all of a sudden the pressure is on. Where you can either fully charge a fireball and you have to deal with that on wake up, or you can simply just dash it and then start the pressure on you.
They do a good stun, right?
300 stun on full charge.
Yeah.
So, it used to do 700.
Yeah, I remember.
I miss those days.
Just like startup is faster, speed is of the fireballs faster, and the recovery is like almost instant.
Yeah,
you cannot jump on Ryu after he throws the fireball. After he throws the fireball, you're getting anti-aired.
And it's very tempting, man.
Yeah.
It's very tempting. Higher damage and stun output from fireballs and DPs. So Ryu gets a lot more stun on his attacks, and it's scary. So it allows him to get a comeback on you. And if Ryu stuns you, man, you're dead.
And then we all know that when you fully charge a fireball, it causes a guard break.
Yeah,
but then it's strong. Like no other until Alex, no other character had that property. Yeah, it's heavily scaled afterwards, but he's got unblockable setups. He's actually got setups to lead into this.
Yeah.
But then just the act of charging the fireball, it creates a mind game, and that's really strong in itself, because this guy block string into fireball charge. It's like, oh, I want to push a button, and then he releases it, and you get tagged, and it's like, oh crap. But then it's like, I'm waiting, guard crush, and you're like, crap, right? So it's the mind game is really strong with that.
Yeah, the scaling is like 60%, but it's still an opening. You know, it's still the threat of it is really crazy, and I really like the guard crush setups they found. And Capcom was trying to work a way to balance this. They first did this universal change where you couldn't crush counter from the crouching hard kick anymore, but then they thought that was too harsh.
No hard knockdown off of
it. Yeah, no hard knockdown. Sorry, with the crush counter. And then they can quick rise if you V-trigger cancel from it. But then they changed it back, and in return they made it so Ryu has a ton of scaling after he guard breaks someone, which is like 60%.
I think that's a fair compromise, though.
But if you combo into super, you know, it's still got that 50% ceiling on the damage, so Ryu can still get a lot of damage from it, and he gets a knockdown too, right? Yeah. Okay. V-trigger unblockable setups. We've already talked about that. So, yeah. Overall, Ryu's pros are so good, and he's got very few cons. So this is the shortest con list I think you have, Killy, out of all your stuff. Cons: jack of all trades, master of none play style. So Ryu is the most explored character in the Street Fighter franchise. You know what I mean? He is the most. He is not going to surprise you on things that he does, and because of this, the person's not going to go into an unknown matchup basically with him, and jack of all trades, master of none playstyle. Like, what do you mean by that, Killer?
Like he has, like we said, he has all the tools to win.
Yeah.
But he doesn't excel in any one of those tools. Like, yeah, he's strong on the offense, but he doesn't excel in that one area. Like, he doesn't excel in any one particular area above the rest. Like, he's not the best at rushdown. He's not the best at zoning. He's not the best at brick walling people, right?
Yeah.
Like, he has all these tools, but they're just kind of like average or above average in each one.
There's nothing too extreme in one direction.
Yeah. So that it's not a pro, but it's not necessarily a con per se. It's just kind of like, it's something you have to deal with as Ryu. It's like, I need to really bring out the character. Character can't really carry me in this, right? He has all the tools, but it's like they're not all strong. Right? I have to bring out the max in each area.
Mediocre mid-range game makes him struggle via strong footsie-based characters. Yeah, this is like one of the only cons I can think of with Ryu right now, is that he does have like all the tools, but it's something about that mid-range game where he kind of struggles a little bit.
Yeah.
His medium kick it's got good range, but sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah.
And his standing medium punch is such a good medium punch, but it's not far enough. You know, you got to be really close. And then he has a 3-frame jab, but it has no range at all. And it's just like, he needs to be just a little closer than most characters. So in that mid-range games, there are other characters that would even have a worse neutral overall than Ryu, but they'd still one-up Ryu in that mid-range part. It's just something in that he's got a little dead zone to him. And it's because of this where we feel like, you know, Ryu's more of an offensive character in this game, more aggressive. He wants to be in your face this time. Linear gameplay, we already talked about that, but it's basically he's really predictable. You know, everyone knows Ryu, and they always will know Ryu, right?
No surprises.
Super popular character, and yeah, no surprises. Lack of a mix-up game and strong mind games makes it hard to open people up.
So like the only mind game he really has is like that charge fireball. Mix-up game, like he's got the shimmy. That's about it. He might be able to do like an empty jump low, stuff like that. He does have the overhead, but it's like these are all basic tools, right? They're not strong and all by themselves. So even when put together, they're kind of just like, it's just mediocre. So he doesn't have like this really strong offensive, like this mind game to really like catch people off guard. You have to really drive in those threats to make that to make those mind games work. Like the shimmy, for example, like you have to really drive in the threat of the throw to make that shimmy work. The overhead, you have to like condition them not to, because it is slow. You can jab them out of it. You have to condition them into making that overhead work. Throws, you have to make the frame trap game like work before you can get the throw. Like, yeah, other characters have to do the same, but I just feel like with Ryu, it's like you have to like constantly utilize all these tools to get that damage in.
Yeah, by no means he's like it's not just you carrying the character. Like, he's not fully honest because he has like really good tools to use against people, but still it's not free. Like, he does lack
you got to put in the effort. You got to put in a lot of work into Ryu to make him strong, to make him work, right? And that's kind of like the issue there. It's like you have to try that much harder to get these tools to work.
So right now with Ryu sitting in A tier, I could totally see people saying that he's top 3 or super high, because the V skill is the scariest factor. It seems like everything about Ryu is balanced around his V skill. Like, the Capcom is so scared to buff anything else with Ryu because they're anticipating someone mastering his V skill. And that's what will separate, like, the best Ryus from the
mediocre
super
ones.
Like, it's the ceiling. The ceiling is the V skill, and having a really good knowledge of your matchups and the game and utilizing it. And if someone does master it, they're going to be winning a major, because it's one of the most powerful V skills, potentially powerful V skills in the entire game. It's definitely game changing, and Ryu players are doing so well, Tokido especially, without even using it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, second place finishes
twice
in a major and not even using one of like the
he
best.
barely even uses fireballs in general too.
Yeah,
right? So he's like, there's tools that he just doesn't need to use.
Yeah,
he's still doing well.
So Ryu has everything he needs, man. And in terms of changes, there's
crouching medium kick's so bad. And I know why they do it, but it's like I kind of miss the old days where that crouching medium kick was good.
Okay, if you want to make him back to that kind of style,
I'd like to see an improvement in his footsie game because Ryu is a footsie base. He's always been like a footsie based character, so I'd love to see his footsie game kind of go up a little bit.
If they buff Ryu anymore, though, Ken's gonna cry. And like,
well, you'd have to like tone down other tools with Ryu.
Yeah.
But I would love to see like an improvement in his footsie game.
The Japanese, they feel that they should nerf his V trigger. They really want to nerf his V trigger.
The V trigger is very strong. I'm not surprised. And like I said, he's like one of the few characters that can create checkmate situations with that V trigger.
The thing is that Ryu doesn't get as good of a benefit from canceling normals from his V trigger besides a punish. Like in terms of like just like a crushing medium kick into V trigger, he can't get much off of it. That's the thing compared to other characters where you can convert a ton of stuff. Like of course Ryu can go crouching hard punch V trigger into standing hard kick and get a ton of damage from that, but when you're having problem, like when a Ryu player is losing, it's usually because he's having problems in that mid-range game.
Yeah.
And then when you have your V trigger, it's not going to help you that much more because you land a straight mid-range normal, it's not going to convert into much. Sometimes you have to go right into raw DP.
Yeah.
So Ryu does have some problems at the department. A guilty pleasure like change I'd love is for him to cancel that Denjin Fireball to a forward backdash in V trigger. I would love that so much.
Denjin...
So you know when he's trying to
Fireball,
cancel it. Yeah, ever since
cancel.
E3, I'm like, can he cancel it? Can he cancel it? Because you're fully committed, and I would love that he'd be able to forward dash or backdash, and then the penalty would be like you lose half your entire timer, so you can only do it twice. Basically, but I would love something like that.
The other thing is they nerfed how many fireballs he could throw when he's in V trigger. Like, remember, he used to be able to throw more fireballs.
Well, in the E3 build, it didn't drain it whatsoever.
Oh yeah,
it was just a timer, which is
so,
strange because Chun-Li is just unaltered and just lasts forever.
So I don't know. Maybe it's like, okay, when you start charging the fireball, it takes away V trigger gauge. But if you just throw them out, I don't think you should get penalized from your V gauge.
Really? Wow, that would make Ryu so powerful. But yeah, Ryu's already a powerful character, so
it just feels like you can't really go back to his zoning style with V trigger activated, right? The fireballs get buffed, but at best you can throw like how many? 5?
Like 6,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then most people are just backing away, or they jump over and stuff like that, or neutral jump, and then that's it. Like you end up using all your V trigger, and you haven't gotten much from it. Like maybe positioning advantage, which is good, definitely, if you can get them into the corner. But otherwise, it's like you use up all your V trigger, and you got.
Yeah, the thing is like in that situation, you shouldn't be just chucking fireballs.
No, you shouldn't.
Should be getting in and then establishing, because one hit from a fireball is a knockdown. You just need one.
Yeah.
You know, and then the stun. I kind of wished the fully charged fireball did 700 stun again. Like I feel like if you set that up, you should get punished. The fully charged normal fireball.
If you get hit by it,
if you get hit by it, you deserve 700 stun. Man. Come on, dude.
You get hit by
I want the reward to be huge for that, but yeah. Honestly, all these changes we went through is just making him go from to a broken character, basically. Yeah. Super good. Anything else you want to talk about Ryu?
No.
But once again, like a lot of you guys are gonna feel like Ryu is one of the best characters in the game, like top 3, top 2, and I could totally understand people seeing that because of the V skill. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ryu even move even higher up in the future because of that. Yeah.
So our next and last A tier character.
Yeah, this was a tough one. This was a tough one again because the problem. Okay, this A tier character, I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. It's M.Bison. So M.Bison, he hasn't moved, and you guys are probably like, "What? Bison sucks, dude. He's not even. You don't even see him in top 50 in these majors. You don't see any Bison players." But the thing is, me and Killer were like, "Okay, maybe we do have to move him down." But then we're like, "Okay, look." We're changing the tier list based on added information. We're getting new information every day about this game. And if we're not getting information, which is from Bison, why should we move him down? It kind of goes against our philosophy and how we're doing this tier list. We're like, oh, we're not seeing anything, no one playing Bison, therefore he sucks, we should move him down. It doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense. So right now we want to keep him where we have him, which is A tier. And I still feel like Bison is a super strong character, and he needs to be explored so much more. And we need more players playing Bison. Guys, pick up Bison. Just pick him up, man. He's such a good character, man. And I feel like people are just sleeping on this character. Because he's got so many unfair things to him. It's just ridiculous. So let's start off with Bison. Pros. Multiple attacks leaves him at significant plus frames on block. For a character like this, he's got... Everything just seems plus with this character. It's like, I was playing against my friend with this character, and he kept on pressing buttons, and I kept on counter-hitting him. I'm like, this is plus. This is plus. I was like a broken record. I'm like, this is plus. This is plus. Stop pressing buttons. Most of these plus frame attacks are heavy normals that deal white damage. So with standing hard kick, down forward hard punch, like these things are plus. They do insane white damage because they're hard strength normals. And then like their crush counters on top of that, right? So it's so scary. Standing medium punch, it's just ridiculous. He's got really good plus frame normals.
Isn't double reverse also plus?
It's even, but the EX version is like plus 3.
And then it's like an overhead 2.
Yeah,
and then the EX scissors is plus.
Yeah, it's plus.
And it's like plus 1 regular. V trigger is like plus 3.
Yeah, you could just throw it out, and then the V trigger EX head stomp is plus.
Oh god.
It's just madness, man. Everything's just plus. Like Bison just gets first turn on so much shit, man. So it just makes it very difficult to counter Bison when he's on you, basically.
Like it's very hard to know when to push buttons on Bison.
Yeah, exactly. Strongest crush counter normals in the game. Yeah, me and Killer were thinking about all the crush counter normals, and I think we come to an agreement that Bison has the best crush counter normals, man, by far. Because, well, first off, his crush counters is standing hard kick and down forward hard punch, and these crush counters are plus. They're not just safe. They're not just safe. They're plus. Okay? So he gets a frame trap. Like, a frame trap with Bison is standing hard kick and the standing hard kick. Like, come on! And these are two crush counter normals. Like, that's so silly, man.
Very strong.
And then his down forward hard punch has got so much horizontal range. It puts you into the character. It forces him to guess what you're going to do next. And if it happens to crush counter, you know, the damn thing combos into itself. It's just... It's silly. And then these aren't flip up crush counter. These are
spin.
Yeah, they knock you down and then he gets a full combo from you. So really scary. A really crazy change because before his crush counter from his little hard kick used to flip you up, but now it's just a hard knockdown. So yeah, Bison, he's got the best crush counters, man. Invincible forward dash lets him avoid attacks and projectiles when timed correctly. So we thought this was hilarious when we first saw the footage of Bison being able to teleport from his dash even without V-Trigger. We're like, seriously?
Yeah.
Could you seriously buff this character anymore?
In the E3 build, his forward dash was just a regular forward dash. He didn't teleport. Mm-hmm. And then when they gave it to him in the later build of it, we're like, wow, that is an insane buff. Mm-hmm. And it is still a really good buff. Mm-hmm. So it actually makes it easier to force like a throw, crush, counter, mind game off of these dashes. It's like dash, throw, dash, stand, heavy, kick. It's like, wow. Yeah. Crush, counter. You're like, what?
It's so crazy, yeah. Because like, you know, Bison's got this meta where he'll dash in and throw you, or he'll dash in and go for a quick string, or if you're scared to press buttons, he'll dash in and do hard kick right outside your poking range, and then you'll get crush counter, and then you just roll your eyes because you're gonna take so much damage. It's silly. And then even if he guesses wrong and you block that hard kick, he's +3. And then he might go for another hard kick if he wants to. And it's scary.
Then it goes downhill from there.
Yeah, man. Strong range normals allows Bison to play a solid mid-range game.
That stand medium kick, man.
Yeah, so, you know, Bison, he's got really, like, the worst movement speed. But his normals, like, it makes up... If you gave Bison normal walk speed, he would be you'd just be the stupidest character ever, okay?
You'd have to tone down his normals in order to compensate for good walk speed.
The thing is that, like... what makes it unique is that Bison has good long range normals and they're Soul Plus. It's that combo. Usually like the top characters that have like the best long range normals, they're not plus. It doesn't like keeps the pressure. It's just you block and it's like a good hit and then you go back to the neutral. But Bison's like no, it's like you've begun pressure and it's going to continue. So it's really scary. High damage output and good burst damage output with V trigger and meter. Yes. Bison's V trigger is game changing for him. It forces an immediate tempo change. So V trigger gives him better options to apply pressure and open people up. So his dashes are now becomes the best dash in the game basically. It's the furthest dash, super fast, goes through projectiles still, and now it will cross up the opponents. So now you got this like online. Oh my god, dude! You got Bison players that are just dashing back and forth. They don't even care because you're gonna whiff a normal and you're gonna get thrown like an idiot, and it's just it's super crazy.
He basically becomes Slayer.
Yeah, he becomes Slayer. No longer needs to charge when canceling normals, so he can do crazy things from this. He could go dash in, crouching light punch, standing light punch, and then an instant devil reverse. That's even on block. And it's an instant overhead pretty much, and it's free pressure. And then on top of this, since he doesn't need the charge, he can cross you up with dashes, and he doesn't need the charge. He can just do these special moves no matter what. So he doesn't screw himself over from trying to cross you up, and it can get really hectic. And I still don't see Bison players abusing this fact.
Doesn't double reverse also cause an automatic cross up? Like he teleports behind them, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I guess I didn't think about that one. No matter what, you can't control that cross up. So if you do standing jab, you have to cancel that. But in V-Trigger, you can't do that. Thanks for correcting me on that. The Devil's Reverse is an automatic cross-up, so that is kind of predictable. But if the opponent doesn't see it coming, it's still kind of annoying because it instantly goes in, and the opponent, if he's a charge character, he'll lose his charge when you teleport to the other side. More frame advantage on EX Psycho Inferno and EX Scissors. So, like I said, +1. There's like an invincible frame to it too on the startup. And the EX Psycho Inferno, I think, is -1 on block. If I were to check. No, it's +4 on block.
+4?
This is V version. V-Trigger version.
Oh my god.
It's +4 on block, the EX version, which is insane. Because he can cancel his specials into specials. Yeah, the normal version is -1, the EX version. And then the EX Scissors is +3. Yeah. On block. Like, what is with this +3? There's like seriously, it's like Bison can just throw out these specials, and it's like there's like no fear, man.
It's free.
It's free. it's so free. EX Cycle Blast travels full screen, so he gets it's a decent projectile. It covers a large part of the screen, especially when it expands. And they actually buffed this up from his previous betas.
Does it go full screen? I can't remember. I think it goes
almost full screen.
Okay.
Almost full screen. But when it detonates, it expands too.
And the like proximity detonation of it is huge.
Yeah.
Like, if you jump over it, still sometimes just detonates right there and clips you out of the air.
Yeah, and it causes a juggle, and yeah, man, it's really good for him to just throw it out if he needs to get in and then dash forward and then go for some pressure. He can even go EX Cycle Blast into EX Head Stomp, and then if they happen to jump, they'll get hit by the stomp when they try to jump with the fireball. Yeah. It's super dumb. And then if they block it, you're plus. Everything's plus.
People found some resets too with the V-Trigger stuff. Like I remember people would get the like the juggle, and then they go EX Inferno, and then they go EX Scissors or something like that.
Yeah. So they'll knock you down, and then as you're waking up, they'll go EX Inferno. So it's like this active hitbox as they're getting up, and then they'll use the EX. They'll cancel into EX Knee Press, so you automatically cross them up instantly, and then you have this Inferno that flips them up in the air. There's a lot of stuff to explore with Bison that still needs to be discovered.
Dogura had like a non-V trigger mix-up that was similar too, where he'd go get a knockdown, go scissors or something like that, go over their body, and then he'd be on the other side. And then do a crossover mix-up that way. So yeah, a lot of potential still left on tap with Bison, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Like the fact that he can cancel all of his most of his special moves into V trigger, and then he can even follow up after that, and then specials into specials.
Yeah,
it's just so
crazy
good.
Damage output.
Just insane damage output. Okay, so cons. Low stun. I didn't know this. 950 stun. Okay, so Bison is prone to get dizzied faster. Um, slowest walk speed in the game. He cannot play footsies.
But he can be a brick wall.
But he can be a brick wall. That's the thing, is that he has advancing normals and really good toolset of normals that, combined with his dash, it makes up for it basically. But if you want to play like that strong neutral game by just walking back and forth, it's not. He has the slowest walk speed in the game. It's garbage.
He's got the slowest shimmy ever.
He still does have a shimmy. But you can go dash in, crouching light punch, walk back, crouching medium punch into knee press. It looks amazing. When the opponent falls for it, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's
like,
so
how
hard.
do you fall for the slowest shimmy in the game?
So even though he has the slowest walk speed, he can still
shimmy.
shimmy. But he's got, yeah, that's funny. Has difficulties opening people up through mix-ups, but the nature of his playstyle gets people to make mistakes into huge punishes. So a lot of people they think Bison is bad because they're having problems opening people up, because they think that his entire game is dash, throw.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that. You got to be more patient with Bison. First, you have to understand that all of his normals, like most of his normals, are plus. And not just plus, but like +3. So you have to use that threat of abusing that. Bison has really good frame traps that lead into crush counters. These are full damage combos. Another thing too is that people are thinking it too simple, like dash in front of him and then you go light punch or you go throw, but you can dash in front right outside their throw range or their light punch range and do standing hard kick, and then they'll get crush countered. Then you have the threat of that. Or when you do down forward hard punch, you're plus, and the opponent will know you're plus, and then instead of pressing a crouching medium punch like you normally would, you could do another down forward hard punch.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in throw range now. Now what's going to happen? You have to take advantage of the fact that you have these plus normals and that there's always the threat that you can frame trap your opponent. And because of that, it makes Bison's playstyle like really out of the box. It's scary. And that's how you really should use Bison. You really got to use his Devil's Reverse. Take advantage of the fact that it's like even on block and you can get in with it. And it's an overhead and you can throw the opponent and it can just get really frustrating really fast with him. Has mediocre anti-air options and needs to rely on air-to-air options. Yeah, Bison's anti-air is not the best. His down hard punch, it can get stuffed. It has to be at the right range. If the guy has a good horizontal jumping air attack, he could just stuff it. And it's kind of slow. And then Bison usually gets crossed up a lot. So he does have to use air-to-air options. Which is the hell attack.
Yeah,
I think it's called hell attack.
Jump medium punch.
Jumping medium punch, which converts into combos and into his critical art. But yeah, as a Bison player, when you're down backing somebody, you have to be ready for that jump, and you have to be ready to jump back and press a button to anti-air properly, because people are gonna want to cross you up a lot.
Remember when his stand heavy kick used to be a really good anti-air? Yes.
In case you guys don't know, in the past betas, his standing hard kick used to be a really good anti-air.
And a crush counter.
Like, oh man. I remember at one point we thought Bison was the best character in the game. It was just so funny.
He was at E3.
Like, when his knee press used to be safe on block and just...
Remember he crush countered or he wouldn't even crush counter. He would anti-air stand roundhouse and it juggled into scissors.
Bison's had a long journey. It's
and then
really funny.
Remember Beta Phase 2 where you could V-trigger cancel off of and super cancel off the second hit of scissors?
Oh yeah, super good confirm.
Oh god,
a lot of funny stuff.
Bison was like,
struggles on the defensive with no reversal attack options and has to rely on V reversal, which is mediocre. V reversal is a little on the slow side, isn't it? But you do, as Bison, you have 3 bars of V gauge, so you have a lot of chances to use it. But most of the time, you will still see Bison players, as soon as the opponent crosses them up once, they will 90% of the time use V reversal, because Bison will simply just get destroyed. Like, that is his core weakness with all these pros that Capcom has given him. They designed him to have problems with reversals. You are pretty much screwed. There is something you can do. It's not quite a reversal, but you can do EX head stomp.
Oh yeah.
Convert it directly into Devil's Reverse.
Yeah.
There is a slight invincibility there, like a slight, but it's not enough to warrant being called a reversal. But I have seen it, and it's really funny. And because of this, because he has to rely so much on V reversal, it takes away his ability to activate V trigger, which is so powerful in the first place. I still think Bison is pretty good even without his V trigger, but it makes him super good when he activates. It makes him super good, and to have to choose between that two, it kind of sucks. So it's like you make one mistake, you're forced to do V reversal, otherwise you might lose, and then you don't get to activate the best thing that your character has earlier than usual. Situational V skill means he doesn't get to build his V gauge quickly. Yeah, his V skill is one of the worst V skills, I'd say. It's not that good. Of course, you can use it against zoning. It helps him against zoning. Mm-hmm. But it's slow, you know. If you hold it down all the way, the opponent can jump over it and punish you. So sometimes you have to mix it up by just using it once and then not doing the full charge. But because of that, you don't gain as much V gauge. So that kind of sucks, right? On top of that, you could use it as a parry. I think some people are still not exploring that enough. Yeah. But at the same time, the parry is kind of iffy. It doesn't parry like low attacks. It can't really be used as an anti-air. Yeah. It has problems against the mid attacks. Like it's weird. But with a character with 3 bars of V gauge and then a poor V skill tool, it hurts him. Yeah. It definitely hurts him. Linear playstyle, which makes his offense telegraphed. So this is what I was saying before. When you play against a Bison player, especially online, the first thing you expect is a dash throw. Yeah. Dash this, dash this. Just because the reason is because Bison does not have good movement speed. So Bison players feel like they're forced to always dash. But the thing is like as a Bison player, you have to not just dash in front of your face. You got to dash inside the right range and get your plus normals on, and using the Devil's Reverse, which is really good for getting in. So,
but even though it's linear, there's not a whole lot you can do. Like, you can punish the dashes if you read it properly, but like if he's using, even though you know he's gonna throw that stand roundhouse or whatever like that, you gotta block it. And if you block it, it's like there's nothing you can do about it anyways.
Yeah. His dash, like, it's punishable for sure, and it's pretty telegraphed, but sometimes you just can't stop it. Yeah, man.
It's still tough.
You just can't stop it. So yeah, Bison. Like I said before, we want to keep him in A. We feel like we need more really good players playing him, man. We need to see like actual like results. Not seeing any Bison players and then just nothing to go off of, not added information is we don't want to drop him just for that reason. Mm-hmm. And I still think Bison is very strong, and he's got some cheap stuff to him, man. He really does. His cons they're really obvious. They're definitely really obvious, and that's why I think people feel like he's lower. But hopefully we can get some player to step up and change people's minds. But if we do see more really good Bison players and they're still having problems opening people up, and they can't mix it up, then maybe we'll move Bison down. In terms of changing the character, this is really delicate. Bison actually throughout all the betas has had a ton of changes in terms of his crush counters, his normals, and the way his V trigger cancels, and a lot of damage scaling. I remember during E3, man, when I was doing those special cancels with him, I was one of the first people to actually experiment with that. And we were finding like 90% damage combos with him. So Capcom was like getting on the scaling fast with this. But I don't think there's anything they should change with Bison right now. I think the character needs to be explored, especially with those cross-up situations you were talking about before with the EX Inferno. And he's got so many things on plus. It's like, you can't give this character faster movement speed. You just can't. No. The normals are way too good to do it. And then on top of that, one of the best dashes in the game. You just can't do that. His critical art is good too, man. Uses anti-air, can convert into it easily. We're in the A tier, man. Like these characters, if anything, they need nerfs. So I'm really, really like, I can't wait for someone to really step it up with Bison, and I think Moon's Bison is awesome. Yeah. But I really want to see someone show him a major and really, get people to change their minds about this character. Mm-hmm. I feel like out of a lot of characters on our tier list, I think people would disagree the most with Bison. There's a lot of controversy with this character and where he goes. Anything else you want to add with Bison?
Nope.
That is the A tier list.
So
now we're moving among the gods. Well, not gods, but
this is the A plus
A plus tier. So what kind of characters do you need to be to get to this rank of A plus?
Either strong footsies or a strong, like, really strong neutral game.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be impeccable neutral game.
Okay.
And good damage output, or like ability to open people up multiple times with good damage output.
And very low cons.
Yes.
So these, we're on the final 3 characters. So
and I'd say these are ranked in order.
These are ranked in order. We're literally going from the 3rd best now to the 2nd best character to the best character in the game. So who is the 3rd best character in the game, Killer?
Vega.
So Vega, we've had him up here for a long time.
Yes.
Vega hasn't moved a bit.
Nope.
And, we're not seeing many results from Vega from top players. So what's going on, Killer? Why is Vega still A plus? Out of all the tiers, he's at the top.
I think this is another character that we're going to have a lot of disputes about.
Okay.
People.
But you're a firm believer that he is the top of the crop.
He is A plus.
Okay.
Yeah, Vega. I mean, fastest walk speed in the game, strong footsies, high damage, just insane.
That's Killy's phone, by the way.
Sorry.
You guys can't expect this video to go on for almost 4 hours and then not expect some insane interruptions.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, he just has all the tools to keep people out for long periods of time, and he frustrates people. But then he also has this like crazy damage output and crazy comeback factor too. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can never count out Vega.
So why aren't we seeing results from this guy?
He's not an easy character to use.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of people don't explore the neutral game, like playing a really solid footsie game with
So you
Vega.
think people aren't playing him properly yet?
Yeah, he still needs some exploration. People have really explored the offensive side of Vega, but they haven't explored like how good his, not necessarily explored, but they haven't showcased how strong his footsie game is.
Okay.
And that's where I feel like that's what will put people above. So if we're moving into his pros, he's got a really strong mid-range and far-range normals with the claw. They're perfect for poking and footsies, like forward fierce, stand medium punch, crouch medium punch, like all crouch medium kick. These are all great normals at that mid-range game, especially his stand medium punch. Mm-hmm. Which I don't see a lot of people really abuse with. It is such a good whiff punish tool. And at the right ranges, you can just link into crouch medium punch right afterwards.
It's so annoying. Like when I'm playing like Ryu against your Vega, it feels just like impossible to like get in.
Yeah, because
territory.
his walk speed, and that's the thing. He's got the fastest walk speed in the game, and it complements his normals. But if I'm walking back, you'll never catch up to me. Mm-hmm. You'll never catch up to Vega if he's just walking backwards, right? Eventually, he's going to back himself in the corner. But if he's walking back and you're trying to get to him and start throwing out normals, and you start whiffing him, like the walk speed of his walking backwards is so fast, you'll whip that normal, and it just naturally lets him do stand, medium punch, whip punish. Mm-hmm. And it's just like he'll just whittle you away. Mm-hmm. And it's like it's such a strong tool for him. Mm-hmm. Like he never has to really go in if he doesn't want to. Mm-hmm. He's probably, I'd say he's like the 2nd strongest footsie character in the game. Maybe the strongest footsie character game, but I don't know. Chun-Li's like debatable there.
Yeah.
Because his walk speed's so fast, he's got a very strong throw game. It's really easy to get into that throw range that you want to be at. But also, it also makes him have a really strong throw bait game because he can easily just walk back. And
he's got like that cami factor.
Yeah.
But then he's got insane long range fast normals on top of that.
So his like shimmy game is crazy. It's amazing. And that's just with that's with claw. If you do it without claw, like his damage output, like if he gets a successful shimmy or a successful throw bait without claw, it's insane. Especially with meter. Like I saw Riketsu playing Jaewong, and he went like stand jab, and then he walked forward slightly, and then he did claw barehanded stand heavy punch, and then Jaewong fell for it. And as soon as Jaewong got hit by it, he's like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt," because he put the claw back on. Did stand heavy punch again, which forces stand, took the claw off when crouch medium punch, I think, and then EX wall dive.
Oh,
and then it's like almost 40%.
And you can
like
go
40%.
for V trigger from there too. If
Yeah,
you wanted. Like,
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to, you could have went crouch medium punch V trigger super if you had all those resources. But in this case, it's just crouch medium punch, EX wall dive, and then either the throw or the hit into V trigger or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just massive damage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one thing that you can do there. And then you throw in his command grab in bare-handed stance. It just adds this extra layer to his close-up game, right? With his walk speed, he's got a really good forward dash too. So you can go forward dash command grab, or like one normal command grab, jump in command grab. Like he's got a similar mind game. Even like meaty crouch medium kick into command grab, right? Because crouch medium kick leaves him plus on block. So you can't push buttons afterwards because he can frame trap you afterwards. But if you sit there, he just command grabs you. He's in range of his command grab. So it's crazy. Absolutely crazy what he can do with all these tools.
Yeah, it's crazy that a character like this has a command grab.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's like, imagine if Cammy had a command grab.
Oh, God.
I guess this...
Cammy is jealous.
Besides our hooligan, of course, but yeah.
Cammy is jealous that Vega has a command grab. He's
Yeah.
got like the fast walk speed and a command grab. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
He's got some really good situational anti-air options.
I
They're
thought
pretty.
people thought that he had bad anti-airs.
There's people who said he had no anti-airs, which is like it's preposterous. He's got really.
So what are his anti-airs?
He's got crouch heavy punch with and without claw. They have to be like a little spaced farther apart a little bit, but they're still reliable at that proper range.
Okay.
But the big one is a stand heavy kick. It's a crush counter normal, and at that far range, it's consistent. It is slow, but I mean, if you do it, if you react properly, right, you get that crush counter, and then they're in this juggle state. So you can go EX wall dive into either the grab portion or the hit into V trigger, or he can go super off of an anti-air, which is crazy. Not many characters get that luxury, right? So that's very important. But then at that cross-up range, he can go air throw. And the air throw is a very reliable anti-air. I mean, if you're looking out for it, you can react and just do it. He's got crazy comeback factor with his V-trigger and critical art. Just the fact that you can go any footsie normal into V-trigger into critical art. It's huge damage. It's like 40-50% damage. But even then, it's like with bare-handed stance, his damage output with meter and with V-trigger or without V-trigger, it's still really high. Anything into the EX wall dive is huge. If he lands like counter hit, I think crouch medium kick, I think he can go like claw stand fierce or something like that. Force stand, whatever. All sorts of stuff. Like he gets some really crazy hit confirms off of counter hit into EX wall dive. Like even if you can manage to get them standing with this stand medium punch into stand heavy kick target combo into EX wall dive, it's a lot of damage. And he has multiple ways to like combo into that. So it's very strong. Like it's a very strong damage output character. But he does need meter for it. But he seems like he always has super. Like, it's crazy.
It does seem like that, hey? I mean, most of his combos, he does not combo into EX moves, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy. Like, but he's got this like this two stance thing, right? So he can like either frustrate you at the footsie game, or he's like rushing you down, and that's very, very important. But he does have some cons. First of all, he has below average stun, 950 stun. So he has 1,000 health, but 950 stun.
I can't believe he has 1,000 health, man.
I think he's always had 1,000 health.
I guess when you balance out the mask, but you're gonna get to that. So.
Yeah. He does have low damage output with claw mode because he doesn't have many special cancelable normals with the claw, like stand fierce, the jabs, and maybe one of his kicks, kind of thing. But it's just you're meant to play the mid-range footsie game and just frustrate them and just slowly whittle away with them. His V reversal is very situational. It gives you unique punish opportunities, but it's not a good get off me. It's
overall,
not a good.
It's like lackluster. Yeah. Overall, it does have some unique uses,
but it's very situational. The claw and bare-handed stances make him a very complicated character. You have to understand and utilize two completely different tool sets, right? Like his normals changes. Like Yeah, in barehanded stand he gets access to more special cancels off his normals, but they have less range, and that's significant, right? And then with claw mode, he's got the longer range, but no special cancels, so you can't get much damage off of it. So, and then if you throw in like stance change combos and stuff like that, he gets very complicated.
So, like, if you want to be a top Vega player, can you get away with just one stance, one playstyle? Can I be like, I want to be a barehanded only Vega, or I want to be a claw only Vega? Can you get away with that and be a top Vega player, or do you have to? You have
both? To be one step above, you have to use both, in my opinion. Otherwise, you just.
So one of the stances does complement the other in the weaknesses. Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you have to utilize both stances in order to really be good with Vega.
Okay.
And we don't see that many Vega players do that.
Of course.
It does allow for unique play styles because some people do prefer barehanded and some people do prefer claw.
Yeah.
But I feel like the ones who utilize both stances properly, those are the ones that are going to shine.
Gotcha.
He does take more damage when the mask gets knocked off. And then when the claw gets knocked off, like, you don't have that option to switch back, right? It's permanently off, so you got to deal with permanently shorter range normals. So you have to be able to like think on the fly and based on your tool set and how to compensate for that. He has like kind of limited means to deal with slow fireballs like Chun-Li and Nash. Like the V-skill attack doesn't work well against them. You have to do it more in anticipation than reactionary.
Okay.
And then the V-skill evasion, like you can avoid the fireballs, but it leaves them slightly vulnerable. So if they time their attacks right, they can punish you for that. And then you can use the air V-trigger to counter the fireballs, but it's just a one-time use, right? Like you don't get much off of it. You just get a punish and then that's it.
You can't follow up after that one.
No, you can't.
Okay.
And then he struggles on the defensive because he has no reversal options, like no reversal attacks. So those are his major cons. But his neutral game and his pros, like his damage output and his neutral game, just more than make up for that. And I feel like once we start seeing people utilize all of this, that's when I think people will get convinced that he is a top tier character.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've seen anyone like really anti-air properly with Vega, like stand around house crush counter to something. Like I just don't see that happening with them. But I see more exploration on his offensive side.
So Vega's not gonna budge anytime soon, hey? Just with our philosophy of the tier list and most of it being based off neutral game, Vega is just so powerful, man. Yeah. So he is above the rest, man. On that side.
So yeah, we strongly feel he's like third best character in the game.
Yeah. Anything you want to change with Vega? I know before you desperately wanted that what was it that
the V trigger would whiff on crouching. I really wanted that to hit on crouching. That's what they changed in one of the other phases. So I was really happy with that change. And then the crush counter, they took away crush counter, crouch fierce, and they gave. And yeah, that was
forward hard punch became a crush counter, right?
Yeah, but that nerf forward fierce.
Okay.
Because before you can go forward fierce and then forward fierce again.
Okay.
Right? But now you can't.
You have to go slide now?
But slide only works when you're closer.
So sometimes you just do it and you just accept that you got a crush counter?
Yeah, and that's it. And
still one of the longest range crush counters in the game.
It is, but the thing is, he has this reeling hurt box. So a lot of this is the thing that people haven't explored, is that you can actually punish Vega as he's reeling back that claw, like a fast jab or.
I know Ken could go standing light kick into EX Tatsu.
Yeah, Nash can go standing light punch into EX Tragedy Assault.
Interesting.
Like there's a lot of punishes. I'm sure every character can punish it in some way with their jabs or whatever, but it's like. I would like to see more reward off of that forward fierce crush counter. Like the fact that I can't really combo anything unless I'm doing it at an unsafe range, right? It is not something I like.
Can you go into V trigger or super?
You can go. You have to cancel the forward fierce hit into V trigger.
So I can't link it.
No.
Right. But in terms of changing Vega, if anything, character needs nerfs.
Yeah.
Like we're in the A+ tier now, so character's gonna need nerfs. I don't know. That's funny. Anything else you want to talk about with Vega?
No, pretty much. I just want to see more people more people to play a stronger footsie game with Vega. I think he's got some of the best footsies in the game. just haven't seen many people do it.
Okay.
Seen more people like rush in with Vega. You don't really need to do that.
They want to do fancy stuff with him.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
No.
You just, it's basically like, someone needs to take an approach to Vega like Justin's taking an approach to Karin. Just ignore all these useless special moves and just really stick to that neutral, and it's just, yeah. Alright, so we're moving on to the second best character in the game. Who's it gonna be? I'm scared.
It's public enemy number 1.
It's public enemy number 1. The second best character in the game we feel is Nash. Nash. You remember the good old days where we thought Nash was a terrible character, and then they just kept buffing him,
and nerfing others.
Like Beta 3 Nash, wasn't he at that point the best character in the game?
Yes.
Were his buffs that good at that point?
Well, it was the changes to the other characters as well.
Okay.
I think Beta Phase 2 is where he was at his best.
Gotcha.
But everyone else also had crazy stuff in Beta Phase 2.
Mhm.
That's why I didn't quite feel like Nash was the best character during Phase 2.
So there's some controversy with this character. You know, for the longest time after the game's released, you and me have been saying Nash is top 3.
We always said that since Beta Phase 3.
Okay, we've been saying it for a long time now, and people feel like Nash sucks. Like it's not just he's in the middle. They think Nash sucks.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but like more known players, top players in their tier list saying Nash is somewhere in the bottom. Even the Japanese tier list put him at the bottom. So what's going on? How can we have such a different opinion?
I don't know. It depends on what you value when looking at character tool sets. We're definitely placing a lot of emphasis on neutral game, and I think Infiltration's also kind of showcasing part of the reason why we think Nash is top tier.
This was before
Infiltration.
Infiltration was one of these tournaments that we've said Nash is top 3.
Yeah.
It's just that when you've watched Infiltration's stream from way long back, and you said he hasn't even changed his play style ever since. And you're always like, hey, if you guys think Nash is a bad character, watch Infiltration play, and he'll show you why this character is good.
Yeah.
And now Infiltration has finally entered a major, and is not only won one, he has won 2 completely undefeated. So, what the hell? We have the information, dude.
Yeah.
We have the results. We have all the evidence we need to tell you that this is a top character. But specifically, the second best character in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead, Killy.
He's got probably the second strongest neutral game out of all the characters.
How's a character with such slow movement speed have a strong neutral game? His movement speed sucks, Killy.
Movement speed sucks. His dash. He's probably got the best dash in the game.
It's super annoying, dude. Forward and back is annoying.
Just amazing use of his dashes make him very slippery. He's also probably the most versatile character in the game with strong zoning, strong mid-range, strong rushdown. He's basically like what Ryu wanted to be, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can like zone better than Ryu?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Stronger zoning game with the sonic booms and anti-air options. His anti-air options are insane. Strong mid-range game through long-range normals and command normals. Like a lot of his command normals, like move him forward, and he just covers a lot of range with them, right? He's got a really strong rushdown game, in my opinion, with a lot of plus normals and a good dash, like the best dash to really complement his throw game.
Dude, when you get me in the corner with Nash, I lose the round. If I don't have V-Reverse, so I lose the round. I'm pretty much screwed at that point. It's so annoying, that EX Sonic Boom.
Yeah. He's probably got the strongest anti-air game out of the entire cast.
What? He's got no anti-airs, man.
No anti-air.
Sorry, guys.
So, yeah, some people want to argue that. He's got a wide variety of anti-airs. Stand medium kick, stand heavy kick, crouch medium punch, crouch fierce punch, bazooka knee, EX sonic sight. Like, how can you go...
So if I bash my head against the joystick, I will likely hit an anti-air
button,
okay,
most likely.
All right.
Like, he's got so many anti-air options. Good air-to-air options, too, right? Like, air throw as well. You got air throw as an anti-air option. So, he's got so many different anti-air options for all these different... The only thing is that they're used for different situations, right? Mm-hmm. So, you have to have an understanding of which anti-air button to use at which situation. Mm-hmm. And that's probably, like, why people felt like, oh, his anti-airs are no good. But he has a lot. Mm-hmm. Probably the best. His corner pressure is extremely strong. Meaty Fierce Sonic Boom. If you can get this properly, and there is setups for it, especially after Roundhouse Sonic Scythe. If you do a Meaty Fierce Sonic Boom, he is at such huge frame advantage. It lets you do really extended corner pressure. He's like plus 12 or 14 off of like quick rise and back techs and stuff like that. Like you time this Meaty Sonic Boom right, it's just you can't push buttons. It's like almost pushing like stand fierce. It makes it a true block string still. Like it's insane. His throw game in the corner is incredibly strong, and it leads into meaty pressure afterwards. Like it's like Ken. You throw him once, you quick rise, throw him again, right? And it's just, and then afterwards you can go like this really meaty or shimmy, and it's huge damage.
What Nash can't shimmy? He's got no movement speed.
Oh, he can shimmy. I hit you with that shimmy all the time.
I'm the only one you hit with that shimmy.
No, I've hit a lot of people with that shimmy. That shimmy is actually viable. I mean, every character's shimmy is viable.
You can use a standing hard punch, right?
Yeah. Stand hard punch or stand medium punch for the shimmy. It's all good. His EX Sonic Boom complements the rest of his corner pressure. It allows him to combo into like knockdowns into more meaty pressure. The EX Sonic Boom, the first one's like +3 on block, and then the second one is +1. So you start doing this in the corner, and the second Sonic Boom like puts you into them, like you're right next to them, and he's +1. So it's like, okay, I push stand jab afterwards, I'm most likely gonna counter hit you, and then I can convert that into crouch medium punch, roundhouse Sonic Boom, meaty fierce Sonic Boom, right? If you don't want to push buttons, I'm gonna throw you afterwards.
Yes, and that's why I start pulling my hair out.
And so it's just like he's constantly in your face at plus frames at all these points. And it's just like, when can you push a button? You can't. The simple answer is you can't. He's going to counter hit you or throw you and all that stuff. So his corner pressure is really strong. And I haven't seen, I've only seen Infiltration really explore this. And he hasn't had a need to actually use this in tournament.
He hasn't had to use his Bankai.
Like, he's done this in online matches, but guys haven't even seen him do this in tournament. Like, if you actually saw what his corner pressure game was like, and when Infiltration's doing this in a tournament setting, you'd be like, what the heck? This is ridiculous. But it's incredibly strong. Very oppressive. He's got really high burst damage output with V-Trigger and meter. Like, it's just insane. You land a solid hit with Nash, and then it's like V-Trigger time into super or whatever, and it's like 50% gone.
Super annoying, by the way.
That gives him good comeback factor.
Yeah.
He's got strong crush counter normals. That forward fierce crush counter is huge. It lets him do fierce tragedy assault, take meter away. The stand fierce crush counter is also pretty good because you can cancel that into
EX Moonsault?
Yeah, into EX Moonsault, but you can also cancel it into Fierce Sonic Boom. So he has like a really good frame trap with this too. You like crouch fierce, stand fierce, because crouch fierce is +3, stand fierce is like 7 frame startups. It's like a 4-frame gap basically.
Standing hard punch?
Yeah.
It's 7 frame startup.
Yeah, so it's a 4-frame gap. Great for punishing 4-frame jabs. And in crush counters, you go regular fierce Sonic Boom, and that'll combo. And then you can actually go forward fierce afterwards, V-Trigger, get a full V-Trigger combo. Or you can go Sonic Scythe super, right? It's really strong. And because of the gap between stand heavy punch and his heavy punch Sonic Boom, you can't jab him out of it. You actually end up getting counter hit by the Sonic Boom, and then he can just go crouch jab Sonic Scythe afterwards. So you gotta like hold all of that pressure, and that's like 2 fierces with all that light gray damage, right? So very strong. He's the only character that can actually drain EX meter, or drain meter in general.
He's a vampire.
So he can use it strategically to limit player options, especially at like key moments. Like, they have super, but now I can take away their ability to super. Maybe super is their only reversal options. Now I take away their reversal option. Especially when he's got someone stunned, and it's like it's the game-winning combo, or like the round-winning combo. The best thing to do is end the combo into a tragedy assault, so you can take away meter going into the next round. That's a very strong tool. His dashes cover a lot of ground both forwards and backwards. It's very good mobility despite his poor walk speed, and we've all seen Infiltration demonstrate how insane that dash is. He's just constantly dashing all over the place, and it's like, how do I pin this character down?
Super annoying.
Really can't. and that's the problem. And then his dashes with that, because they travel so far and they're so fast, it gives them the ability to go dash throw so consistently. So many times you see Nash just go dash throw, and it's just crazy. And all of these tools put together, he just always building meter, because he's always asking you questions like Sonic Boom, what are you gonna do? Jump? Okay, anti-air you. Sonic Boom, you're gonna block it, I'm gonna dash in, get some offense, to dash back, more Sonic Booms, or I'm gonna play that mid-range game. And so, because he's constantly active, he builds meter so quickly. He will have a critical art every round. It's just no doubt about it. He will always have critical art with this character.
Which is stupid.
Crazy. Crazy how much meter he builds. His V skill is very situational, but in a fireball, like against Shotos and stuff like that, it always puts those type of matchups in his favor. Because you can't win the fireball war against Nash.
Which is silly.
You will always be able to V skill it. It's like free V gauge, and then if not, then he's gonna throw Sonic Booms, and like you can't beat him in that fireball.
Like his V skill can be bad, but it's like a tool that he doesn't even need.
Yeah.
But then when he can use it, all of a sudden it's a super issue for some characters.
Yeah.
Like Ryu, it takes away one of his main tool sets, and then he can zone you back. You know.
So it just forces actions, right? So that V skill, even though situational, when it comes to like fireball wars, it's the determining factor in why he wins those fireball wars and even that matchup, right?
Yeah.
His critical art, it does a lot of damage, but like most critical arts do.
Yeah, most of them are around like the 340 range. So I'll see if his is anything different. 340.
Oh,
yeah.
so
See, everyone's critical art does like almost the same damage.
So it does a lot of damage. It's a lot of chip damage too. Like that single burst of chip damage.
It's one of the coolest knockout screens too.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And then it's also an actual viable anti-air. Like you throw a Sonic Boom, they jump over, you critical art, they're getting tagged. And it's like that throwback to that old Seth and Ryu super trap. His V trigger is pretty versatile. It's combo extender, it's a mix-up tool, it's escape against pressure. I feel like people haven't really explored how to counter his V trigger properly, but it's really strong. Like for him to just escape out of the corner, good enough. You don't even need to like hit with the mix-up or whatever. Like as long as you escape from the corner, it's good enough. It's done its purpose, right?
Yeah.
But if you can get it in a combo extender, it is a lot of damage, like 50% at least.
Incredible.
The V reversal is also really good. It allows him to escape a lot of pressure situations and then just reset to neutral, which is where he shines. So it's like being able to escape the corner with his V reversal is really disheartening for people, because a lot of people spend so much time trying to trying to get in on Nash. He spends all this time zoning you out, anti-airing you, rushing you down, backing off, and then eventually he'll like back himself in the corner. And it doesn't matter if he backs himself in the corner. You give him that one opportunity. You do like a medium punch or whatever, he's out of the corner. V reversal out of the corner.
Yeah.
And then got to play that neutral game.
And then he has an entire real estate from the other side to play with now.
Yeah. So it's like pinning him down is so difficult. So you have to really like limit his V trigger use if you want to fight against him, and because of that, it like you have to like really concentrate when you're fighting Nash, because if you give him a little bit of room, he's gonna take all of it back. And he's just so good at switching gears. So I feel like he ends up having a lot of advantageous matchups. Like I feel he beats a lot of the cast,
and naturally that would put him at the top of the tier list.
Yeah,
as the second best character in the game.
But he does have cons.
Really? Are you sure?
Yes. Quite a bit of them, too. Not really. He does have cons, though.
Okay.
Lower health and stun, 950 health, 950 stun. Kind of what you expect from a character of that much tool set. He's got slow walk speed, obviously, so playing footsies with him is pretty much non-existent. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of long range.
But the thing is that Nash doesn't have to play footsies with you.
No, he doesn't. He can brick wall you as well.
Yeah.
He has to rely on his dashes, moonsault / command normals to kind of move him around. This makes his movement pattern very linear.
This is similar to something like Bison, for example.
So if you pay attention, you can counter them, but his dashes are really good. But yeah, it's all linear. It's like straight pass or like certain arcs that you recognize, and as long as you recognize that, you can counter it. No reversal attack, obviously.
This is his biggest weakness.
Yeah, so he's got nothing to do against pressure in terms of getting people off of him, but the trigger and the V reversal are pretty much the compensation there.
The V trigger reversal is almost not real, though, because of the meaty setups that you can do on him.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to do it on wake up, but if you give Nash, like, eventually your pressure will end, and as long as you give him a gap to work with, he's out of there.
So if I do a meaty on Nash when he's waking up, and he spams V trigger, I will counter hit him, and he will lose his entire V gauge. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you time that meaty properly, but if not, then yeah, he's out of there.
Gotcha.
And then even then, if he's not mashing it on wake up, he can just wait. And then it's like, if you put him in a meaty, then he's just going to V reversal out.
Yeah.
So you have to use a lighter normal to try to like throw the V reversal afterwards, which is tough to get the timing on a meaty light into that grab to avoid the V reversal. And even then, he doesn't even have to do a V reversal. He can just go V trigger out anyways if you give him that gap. So it's really hard to just like pin him down. But as a result, he doesn't have a reversal attack. He's a very, like, he is easy to use a little bit. He has a basic game plan that's easy to get a hold of, but he's also quite technical because you have to have a good understanding of spacing to use his command normals, his V trigger, even his his dashes. Right? You have to utilize his dashes, and if your spacing is off, you're gonna get punished. Like, a lot of his command normals are negative on block. Forward fierce is minus 13, right? But if you space that out properly, you can't get punished, or it's very hard to punish him. Stuff like that. So you always want to space his command normals that are good long range forward moving command normals at their max range. Mm-hmm. His V skill is too situational, like I mentioned before, very situational. So you can't really use it that much outside of fireball characters. But when you can use it, it's amazing.
Yeah, it has a very specific matchup use.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's all the cons?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nash, man, we pretty much our introduction with him is everything that we need to explain on why we feel that he's a top contender. So basically you feel that all these pros outweigh his cons so hard that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, because even though he doesn't have a reversal option, you take so much damage getting in on Nash. And it's like, that's if he's playing a zoning game. Who says he's got to play a zoning game? He can rush you down. And then go back to mid-range. And then go to zoning. And then all of a sudden he's in your face. Because he can constantly shift gears so quickly, and we see this with Infiltration, he's so quick at shifting gears, that you can outright lose before you do anything.
And then you add the mobility of the V trigger and the V reversal, and it's just absolute insanity.
And then you can't pin him down.
So, what would you want to change with this character? I think the character definitely needs a nerf. But, like, what would we nerf without making the character not fun? Because we want to keep all these characters fun. I feel like Nash is really fun to play right now because you feel like alive when you're playing. You feel like free. You feel like you're in control of every situation.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding to master like all your anti-airs and all your range and stuff like that. So, what way we can nerf him without? I think we should nerf his dash. Like, I think his dash is so crazy.
If you nerf, that's a hard one. The dash really makes the character. If his dash was toned down, depends how significantly toned down. If it was toned down, then he'd be really bad.
What about his V trigger and V?
V trigger is probably what people would look at most for nerfing. A lot of people get salty over his V trigger because it's like and this is the thing. I don't really understand getting salty over the V trigger because it's like you can block it on reaction. Like, most people get hit because they get mixed up, but the more you see it, the more you get used to it, and then you start blocking on reaction. You can even start countering it afterwards. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you might want to change the frame properties on the beginning of it, where he has that like invincibility frame. That's probably where people would want to see the most changes in his V trigger.
Because it seems like it was meant to be an offensive tool, but it's also a really good defensive tool.
Correct.
And that's probably the problem.
Yes.
But
it's like he's taking so much damage, and then to get the V trigger, if he's not using V skill, right, or he's not landing crush counters, and then when he V triggers out, it's a single time use. He V triggers and that's it. And then if he gets no damage off of it, then it's good enough that he's out of the corner, out of that situation. But like that's it. He's spending his life to get out.
Okay. And what about his super and his amount of meter he gets per round? The thing is, his critical art is so crazy because it's so easy to combo into. There's so many ways. It can even be used as an anti-air.
Yes.
And the fact that he gets so much meter usage per round, do you think there's something they can fix there? In that department?
Some people complain about how it's a hard knockdown, like the critical art.
I didn't know that.
And then you can dash and get a meaty setup afterwards. So if you could quick rise from it, then maybe like that's one balancing factor off of it. You could tone down his meter gain, but it's hard because the meter gain is from the fact that he's so active, right? And because he's so active, that's why he gets that meter. So it's not like he gains a lot of meter from these certain attacks. It's the fact that he's so active in general, and throwing sonic booms, anti-airing, getting pressure. He's just naturally going to build that much meter, anyways.
So what do you think they should do with this guy?
It's a tough one. The V-trigger nerf is probably one that people would look at the most. That's where I think that's the first part you look at it. They would probably want to try to contain, like they want people to be able to stay on Nash if possible. But I think it's like, how do you do that without nerfing his neutral tools? Which is probably what you'd have to look at, would be nerfing his neutral tools. You might have to adjust the fireballs.
So low tier to begin with when we first started playing.
His normals were really negative on block. Like Forward Fierce was garbage. It was so garbage. You could not. You could even punish him on hit with Forward Fierce. That was a huge problem with Forward Fierce. And like E3 build, like a lot of his normals were negative on block, and so very hard to use. So yeah, I don't. It's tough. Like you'd have to like tone down the fireballs. I think. I don't know in what way, but the recovery, I guess. But that's part of why he can anti-air so consistently. It's really hard to get around his fireball zoning game because he has all those anti-airs. So you probably need to tone some of that down, I guess.
The recovery is just too crazy.
It's really fast.
But the speed
the startup is so slow.
You're never going to be in range to punish it because you'll always be full screen away. He's always
full screen away.
That's the problem. You're giving him almost a charge fireball. That's not a charge fireball, you know.
I also feel like people think Moonsault's really good. Moonsault's not that good. You can punish You can anti-air Moonsault.
Moonsault's fine.
Yeah,
Moonsault's fine.
So I think people were like, "Oh."
But remember how garbage that thing used to be?
It
was the first special move you tried when we went to LA.
Fuck, it was so bad.
I was laughing so hard. You guys should have seen EX Moonsault when on the first build of Street Fighter 5. It was so funny, man. That thing had no like homing. Like it just you float in the air for days.
In the air so high. And it's just like, I'm gonna die.
It's so funny, man.
It was really bad.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, they actually nerfed the crush counter on Forward Fierce before it caused the spin, and you can dash and do like crouch fierce.
Oh, I remember that. Oh yeah, that was crazy.
you had some crazy combo.
Can you imagine?
So you guys are surprised. They nerfed a lot from Nash from Beta Phase 2, which is crazy. Remember, he could do in the corner roundhouse Sonic Scythe and the EX Sonic Scythe.
Yeah.
Right? They took that out. He could even juggle a forward with Bazooka Knee and then gets a reset in the corner. Right. He could corpse hop with Bazooka Knee too. So I had actual mix-ups with Nash.
That's
corpse hop mix-ups to compensate for like quick rise, no quick rise, all that
stuff.
Well,
Level does that standing hard kick little mix-up, which is funny.
It's okay.
The thing is that with all this being said, though, Nash is one of the most popular characters in the game.
Yes.
Remember the Nash army when we were in LA? Everyone wanted to play Nash.
Everyone was playing Nash.
And because of this, the fans are very passionate about Nash, and when he was bad, people did a lot of complaints and basically forced Capcom's hand to buff him. Now they went a little too extreme, and that's the result, right? That's any result. When you gotta be really careful when you buff characters. You have to see the big picture, how it affects everything.
Yes.
And especially when you nerf other characters, it can make some characters even better unintentionally, right?
Yeah.
And would you say that Nash is the most explored character in the game right now? Or one of the most explored?
He's one of the more explored characters for sure.
So would you say that Nash is like kind of, as we'd say, kind of hit the ceiling almost in terms of knowledge? Like this is the best Nash can be?
Yeah, I honestly do think so, because I don't think there's a whole lot left. Because the meaty setups are pretty much fully explored.
Yeah.
Combos are really explored too, so most people have maximized damage where they can.
Yeah.
We all know where to anti-air, where to push buttons, stuff like that, counter hits, how to capitalize off of counter hits. All that's really explored. So I think pretty much the majority of Nash has been figured out already, if not all of it.
So with that being said, that there's other characters that don't even have near as much exploration, and things can change, man.
Yep.
Things can change.
Nash could end up lower on the tier list for sure. Once people, if people figure out really good anti-Nash strats, he could drop in the tier list.
And like you said, he's public enemy number 1, and that's what people are working on as we speak, is anti-Nash strats for every major tournament coming up from now on. So expect that. Like, there's going to be problems for Nash in the future. Hopefully. And hopefully someone can challenge infiltration. So, yeah, that's Nash, guys.
Number 2.
Yeah, second best character in the game. So, I get to read off the best character in the game. Me and Kelly feel like this character is the best character in the game, and we've mentioned this character several times. She has slowly moved up the tier list.
Yeah, and even, like, I think universally, everyone agrees.
Yeah, this is the most universally agreed upon best character, or at least in the higher tier character in the game, and that is Chun-Li, the queen of Street Fighter V. She is A+. She's still in the same tier as Vega and Nash, but if we were to put them in order, it would literally go Chun-Li is the best character in the game, then Nash second, and then Vega third. That's one thing that we can definitely agree upon. So, why is Chun-Li the best character in the game? Like, why is she better than Nash?
She's got everything.
She has everything.
She does what Nash does, but I think better.
Takes it one step further.
One step above.
Just like how Nash kind of takes like Ryu's stuff one step further. Sure, you kick it up one notch more, and then you got Chun-Li. So, yeah, Chun-Li, man. I'm reading off your pros and cons, and it's good, man. It's a big list. So here we go. And the funny part is, I used to think Chun-Li was one of the worst characters. Especially
E3, right?
Yeah, they did change a lot of stuff with her, but
a lot.
They changed a lot of stuff with her, but it is funny how drastically both Nash and Chun-Li have come from when we first played the game a year ago. All right, so Chun-Li pros. Strongest normals in the game to play footsies with. Usually extends past her hurt box. So these normals, she has every single tool for almost every single situation. It is stupid. Yeah. Someone's zoning you, crouching medium punch, slides under, hits them, super annoying. Standing hard kick, super long range, hits people when they're trying to jump back on you. And then she has 3-frame normals. 3-frame normals. You add that on top of that, and then like on top of the movement speed, and top of the slow projectile, all this stuff just makes it stupid. It's like Vega with a projectile.
Pretty much.
It's just amped up because Nash's got the good normals with the projectile, but he's missing the movement speed, the walk speed, right? Yeah. Vega's got both the tools, but he's missing the projectile. But Chun-Li, she's got it all, man. Yeah. Second fastest walk speed in the game that complements her footsie game. So what we just talked about, self-explanatory. Strongest or second strongest fireball in the game that complements her walk speed in normal. So the only reason you would say it's the second strongest is because you have to charge for it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you got this slow-moving control space fireball, and then you add her insane walk speed. Or you can even just dash if you want to, and then with their crazy normals, you're eating a lot of free white damage. It's really annoying. You gotta worry about an overhead or a low, or she can just zone you out. Yep. She can just zone you out, and if you have anti-zoning, it's okay. She can play footsies with you if she wants, right? The movements, like these combinations, just make her crazy. Strongest footsie character in the game. What is footsies? What do you need to have good footsies? Speed, normals, range.
Yep.
She has it all.
She has it all.
Very strong up close game. So if Chun-Li wants, she can rush you down, man. To elaborate on this point, she has strong normals up close that leave her plus on block. So she's got kind of like a little bison in her, where a lot of plus stuff and a little bit of the cami, and then it's just scary, man. When you have a character like this that has a projectile too, right?
Yeah.
When you combine this with her walk speed, it makes her throw game really good. You're always scared of Chun-Li's throws, but then she also has really good frame traps. So this forces players to want to push buttons, making her frame traps more effective. And her frame traps are really scary. Really, really scary. And like a lot of safe normals on block, right? And it also makes her throw bait game really strong as a result. So you shimmy people. I land the shimmy on you all the time with Chun-Li. It's so easy to do. I walk forward and then I walk back and I go forward medium punch into V-trigger. And it's just
like,
the damage output is insane. And it's so hard to condition yourself because you have so many other things to worry about. Throw into TK legs in the mix and you have a multi-layered offensive game that's more effective than what other characters have. So it's just layer upon layer upon layer. You're taking the pros of every character's game and you're just putting it all into one character, and that is Miss Chun-Li. It's crazy. Like I said before, a lot of players are relying too much on TK legs, but if you just accept it as an additional tool, you start to see the big picture. I see a lot of Chun-Li players are just choosing one of these tools rather than using them all.
Yeah.
Good damage output with and without meter. So on top of all this, Chun-Li's got like some of the strongest bread and butter combos in the game. She can combo into her medium spinning bird kick, which it has insane Oki. You're insanely plus when you do it that way. Insane corner carry. Insane meter gain. The bread and butter starts off from a crouching light punch.
Yeah.
Why does this happen? Why is she one of the only characters that can combo a crouching light punch into a medium string? Okay? And all this without meter. Like, all this without meter. I'm just checking her normals again so I can just believe what I'm seeing. But crouching light punch is 3 frames, okay? It's bonkers. It's bonkers. Reliable anti-air options. So you can't even jump in on her. The only bad thing I can think about with anti-air options is they're not that damaging because the standing light kick is like the most reliable one.
Yeah.
But it's not that damaging. But it puts you into a reset situation.
Just like, what the heck? Why?
Why? Okay. Standing light kick, she's so fast, she doesn't even need to dash behind you. She can walk and cross you up.
Yeah.
She's so fast. And it's got a good hitbox, and then you put into a reset situation. Back hard kick. Back hard kick used to be a lot better. They did nerf this.
Yeah,
it used to have a way better hitbox, and it used to launch them up higher so you can do an easier mix-up. But it's still there, and it still has its use, especially when you have your V-trigger activated. You have your V-trigger activated, it links... It juggles into super.
Yeah.
Not just a super. It juggles into hard punch into super. It's just... Why, right? EX spinning bird kick is still a reliable anti-air option. So if she wants to do a little bit more damage, if she's just waking up off the ground and the guy tries a neutral jump on her or cross her up, she has a reversal attack that hits on both sides at the same time. Well, what more could I say? It's anything you'd want, right? Good air-to-air normals that can combo out of jumping medium punch into line legs. We've seen Riki use this a lot.
Apparently Sako still uses this.
Yeah, Sako uses it a lot as well. She's got an air throw too.
Yeah,
she's got an air throw too. That actually, I think it makes her plus too when you get it. So if she's bored and just doesn't want to wait for you to anti-air you, she could just jump you up immediately in the air and just get right to the point and deal a lot more damage. Fast critical art that is good for punishing a lot of different situations effectively. Stealing options tools from characters, example, fireballs and long range pokes. So she can outright whiff punish people and go through the projectiles with her critical art. It's not as crazy as something like Third Strike where it's like, super like full screen kind of thing. But let me check the startup frames on her critical art. Where is it? Here, you look for it while I'm explaining this.
The startup is 5 frames.
5 frames. Reuse super is 4 frames startup, if you guys want some comparison. So that's super fast, super scary. It is no longer a charge move. It is a motion, right. Which means she could just do it on the fly, man. She's got no tell.
Walk forward, do it.
Walk forward, do it. Like, that's crazy. The fact that she can easily convert this off of normal lightning legs, so her bread and butter leads into super. You can go from a projectile. She can land her critical art just as easy as some of the other characters that can land it really easily. So that's always a factor. V-trigger activation is an immediate momentum changer. Chun-Li's V-trigger is one of the best V-triggers in the game. We're talking Necalli level V-trigger that is only 2 bars of V-gauge and it feels like it lasts almost the entire round. The timer is so slow. There is nothing that affects Chun-Li's V-trigger timer. It is a timer. Nothing will speed it up.
Nothing speeds it up.
if the opponent tries to wait it out, you'll probably lose the round waiting for it. It's just a matter of time. It is crazy.
It lasts 20 seconds.
And it's 2 bars.
It's just 2 bars, 20 seconds.
I don't understand. For the longest time when they nerfed Ryu's V-Trigger and they made it so each projectile drains it, and they didn't do anything with Chun-Li's V-Trigger, it's like, what's going on? Her V-Trigger allows her to negate projectiles with her back hard punch. She can even special cancel from that. Did you know that? She can go back hard punch and negate it and special cancel from that.
God.
All of her medium and hard punch do an additional hit. It doesn't do more block stun, but it does more hit stun.
Yeah.
And more damage, of course. So that definitely builds up. It makes all of her air normals juggle into each other. The higher, from medium to high strength juggles. It makes her anti-air, her back hard kick juggle, which leads into super. It allows her her combo potential becomes a lot easier because since she's more hit stun, she can combo to the medium spinning bird kick more. And then the craziest part is she has exclusive combos in V-Trigger, such as crouching light punch to crouching medium kick, which is insane. Because now you have a low threat where you can do empty jump, for example, crouching light kick, crouching light punch, crouching medium kick into medium spinning bird kick. Just stupid, okay? All of a sudden, her overhead becomes a full bread and butter combo. Explain to me this why, right? So her overhead, you can go overhead, crouching light punch, crouching medium kick, medium spinning bird kick. This bread and butter does so much damage. It's just absolutely insane.
Her fireballs get buffed too.
Her fireballs get buffed. They go a lot further. It makes you almost want to always use the hard punch fireball once you activate, which is crazy. Man, her V-Trigger is just like, it makes her the best character in the game. Like, pretty much is what really adds to her tool set. I'm just trying to think what else that her V-Trigger does that just makes her so good. The forward hard kick, you can convert off a full bread and butter off of that as well. There's just so many things, man. I know I'm going to forget one of them, but I'm pretty sure you guys get the idea. Like you said, V-Trigger lasts 20 seconds. V-Trigger normals deal more white damage. So it'll, like I said, you can't wait it out, man. 20 seconds, and Chun-Li gets free pressure on you with overheads, with 3-frame normals, with her insane speed, throw game. You got to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
There's no way to counter it. Once it's active, it's a passive, right? V-Trigger fireballs get okay, we already read that.
You already ran over
overhead. I'm just reading your notes. V-Trigger air to air, juggle potential.
Yeah, got that.
Decent reversal option, like I said. Yeah, sure, a lot of people expect Chun-Li to do her EX spinning bird kick, but it's still a threat. It's still a reversal option that other characters would love to have, such as Nash. It hits on both sides. If the opponent tries to bait it out and do a neutral jump, you can simply just hold the charge and then use it. The only bad part is that it's a charge. But since it hits on both sides, it doesn't matter if the opponent crosses you up, because it's a down charge.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's probably got the most good matchups in the game. And I think she also handles the other two top tiers.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. So Chun-Li can actually, from what we've experimented, it seems like Chun-Li can hang with Nash and Vega pretty well. Vega has particular problems against Chun-Li's fireball, and Nash has particular problems against Chun-Li's normals. Like the crouching medium punch, for example, gives Nash a lot of problems because she's so low profile, and a lot of Nash's attacks kind of be sticking up one leg or one arm, and he wants to throw the projectile, get pressure, but he constantly get hit by it, right?
Yeah.
And then you add the fact that she can V-trigger cancel all this stuff, and it's just like it blows your mind. The character just blows your mind away, right? So she is a top tier character that can handle other top tier characters. She's an anti-top tier character. Cons. Is there any cons? You actually wrote some cons, Killy?
Yes.
I can't believe it. Did you have to think really hard?
No, they're
Did you have to make some of these up?
No, man, they're pretty obvious.
Okay. So cons. Lower health. Chun-Li's got 950 health.
No surprise there.
Zero surprise. Her jump is too high and very floaty. So she's kind of got like that birdie jump, She's always had a floaty
jump.
Yeah. So if she wants to start her offense, she can't do it blindly. She can't just jump at you. Like, she'll get anti-aired for free for sure. Limited damage output with crush counter normals, and it worsens with V triggers. So her V triggers, her crush counter, sorry, is very good, but the reward from it is not very good. So her back hard punch, it's an above average speed normal for a crush counter. You can start throwing it out and hopefully you'll get a crush counter. But if you do, it knocks the opponent up. It doesn't like put them in a vulnerable, dizzied state, for example. So you have to commit with either an EX lightning legs for a confirm. You can do activate V trigger into a sweep, or you can literally just punch with back hard punch into lightning legs, hard lightning legs. You have to just commit to something. It's not like back hard punch into a full dash, full combo kind of thing, you know. The second crush counter is her standing hard kick. Standing hard kick, like used as a frame trap tool, is not the best. It could be low. They can duck it.
Yeah.
It's not useful super close. It's quite slow. It's used as a long range poke. So if you hit them with a crush counter with it, you can't convert off much. You can dash in and go standing medium punch, crouching medium kick, but it's not significant where other characters can literally go into hard versions of their normals and do like full punches. The best thing you could do is like standing hard kick, crush counter, and then convert that into like super, right, into critical art, right? But if we are going to say a combo about Chun-Li, her crush counters aren't the best. They could be improved. That's basically what we're saying. Heavy execution character with TK legs and optimal damage calls involving spinning bird kick. So execution drops, especially TK legs, can single-handedly cost you the game. This is Dhalsim syndrome. Yeah. This is Dhalsim syndrome. And lots of command normals overlap, such as back medium punch instead of standing medium punch. So Chun-Li, she has the only command normal in the game that has two commands for it: forward medium punch or back medium punch. And the reason Capcom did this is because she has to charge to do a fireball. So they're like, what if she wants to walk forward, it would be kind of awkward, and what if she wants to maintain her charge, it kind of suck if it was forward medium punch. So that's kind of awkward too. The TK legs, people are still dropping it. Yeah. And then people she goes flying in the air, and then the spinning bird kick. There are still players that have not mastered this bread and butter yet. It is very hard. I think it's easier to do on pad, to be honest, than stick. But you need to have perfection on your charge times with this. You really need to take advantage of the hit stop and the hit stun to get enough time to charge. But heavy execution character is kind of like, not a super con, because if somebody masters this, you're unlocking insane potential. Yeah. V-Reversal is pretty weak and doesn't really interrupt opponents' offensive momentum. Yeah, Chun-Li's V-Reversal is one of the worst in the game. Not quite as bad as Kami's.
Kami's is by far the worst.
Yeah, Kami's is really bad. It's like punishable.
It's -8 on block.
Yeah. Chun-Li's, she hits them, it doesn't knock down, and you're kind of like, it doesn't really reset the situation. Most Chun-Li players are either want to just do EX spinning bird kick, man, if they want to get pressure off you. On top of that, when you got one of the best V triggers in the game, you really don't want to spend that V gauge. You'd rather just get it on and then make the comeback yourself. You know what I mean? So, in terms of V reversal, it's not the best. I'm checking it on block, it's 0. On hit, it's +1. So at least it's not -1 on block. So there's that. V-Skill is situational and is only used in specific neutral situations or mix-up. It's just kind of like Nash, where it's like matchup dependent, but at the same time, it's not. When she can use it, it's still not super good. Yeah. Whereas Nash, when you can use it, it's super good. Yeah. Chun-Li has to use her V-Skill more of a just to get in over the projectiles and just make another path to get in, so her offense is not as linear, right? And you can use it as a combo tool, but it's very limited to combo into it. Very limited. It's usually just a jumping hard kick, neutral jump hard kick. And you could try. We tried so many ways to make this V skill work. This is one of my top complaints with Chun-Li, all the way back from the E3 build. We wanted to try using it as an anti-air. We wanted to try using it as a throw bait. They actually changed the trajectory of it since Beta 2. Yeah, they did. It used to be more horizontal, but now they changed it so she goes like up. So that was a really weird change. Because her V-Skill is so situational and stuff, she has like no real core way of gaining that V gauge. But come on, giving her a fast way to get V gauge, it's just ludicrous, right? Too much. So now I kind of see the big picture. Yeah. So that's it for cons, guys. So overall, Chun-Li is absolute beast in this game. Yeah, man, she's just an absolute beast. Not enough to put her a tier above A+. Not enough to put her to S.
No.
Or God. But she is still the best character in the game. She is still slightly better than Nash and slightly better than Vega. And her strengths are so obvious that it makes it very clear why everyone is in constant agreement that Chun-Li is the best character in the game. Yeah. Even Combo Fiend, the producer, or he feels Chun-Li is the strongest in the game as well, right? So, yeah, I don't think you guys can really argue with this one. I think everyone is in constant agreement. So now that we have the whole tier list, break it down for you guys. I just want to touch on some further explanation on what people might argue with this tier list. But I'm just anticipating the comments. So Kelly, I'll ask you the first question. Why is it that two characters that have no reversal options, Vega and Nash, are in the top 3 character list of the game? How can that be possible? With such a massive weakness, how can these characters be top 3?
How do you get in? How do you get in on those two? That's the thing. Because they have such strong neutral tools, it's really tough to get in on those two characters. And it doesn't matter if they don't have a reversal attack. If you can't get in on them, it doesn't matter. Yeah, obviously, at some point you might get in on those characters, but they have tools to kind of fight their way out, or even just flat out escape, like Nash's V-Trigger, V-Reversal. Until more counter strats are developed against those kind of things, it's just right now it's not that big of an issue.
The thing is like it's kind of like looking back on Seth, for example, like vanilla Seth. His weakness was that he had the lowest HP in the game. He gets hit once and he's dead. Yeah. But he was still the best. Vanilla Seth was absolutely insane.
He was nuts.
And it's just because it's like what if he gets hit? But it's like, what if he doesn't? That's pretty much our argument towards that.
Even with Vega, they want to argue that he's cornered, he's kind of screwed. His V-Trigger, it's safe. So if he goes poke and you block and he goes V-Trigger, he doesn't get the damage, but he's out of there.
As you said before, Kelly, this tier list is all about the strong neutral game. It's when both players are neither at advantage, who reigns supreme, basically. And that's why we have characters like Armika, who can seem extremely powerful and spiral out of control, lower than other characters that have no reversal options, for example. And that's a big part of our tier list, and that's pretty much that's our philosophy over it. Anything you want to talk about, Kelly, on other people's tier lists? Any further explanations on disagreements that we might have?
We forgot to touch on some of Zen's slots.
You haven't talked about Shin's slots.
Yeah. So Zen feels that Nash is really strong, obviously because he's Razor with Fudo and Infiltration, so I'm sure he plays Infiltration.
Okay.
And he's also used Nash in the past, so not surprising he feels Nash is a strong character.
Okay.
But he also thinks that Zangief or Fang are the worst characters in the game.
So he pretty much agrees with us then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. If we go by Shady K, Li Joe, Kim1234, Kim1234 thinks that Laura is potential top 5 because of Dashio, really.
Okay, this is possible because she's really unexplored still.
Yes, and if we got to see Dashio's Laura in Daigo's stream last week or something like that. So yeah, he's got some pretty crazy stuff with Laura, but even Dashio says Laura's got some weaknesses to her. Kim1234 also thinks that Fang and Birdie are probably the worst characters in the game. Fang, I'm not surprised, but Birdie was a little bit of a surprise factor there.
The thing with Birdie is the character's so easy to use. You start off at such a high level when you first use Birdie, and I just cannot imagine Birdie gives some characters. He even can give Chun-Li some problems, man. You can't sleep on Birdie that he is just such a brick wall. It's hard. If you want to say Birdie is the worst, then who do you put beside him? Who could you possibly compare him to?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mentioned Shitty K thought Necalli was the worst.
Yeah.
Even then, he said, well, it doesn't really matter. He's still really strong.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It's who else would you put down the worst? Li Joe thought Rashid was the worst.
I think Rashid is the second worst character. I think Fang's the worst character. I feel like they both have the same problem, but I feel like Rashid's V-Trigger has such a huge trump over Fang's.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel Rashid is slightly better than Fang.
But Fang has a better neutral game than Rashid.
I guess you could make that argument too.
They're also mentioning that Karin's also potential top 5, which no surprise there.
Yep.
But I think their tier list was like Chun, Cammy, Ryu, Bison, and then Ken or Vega as like top 5-ish.
Okay. It's surprising they put Ken up there.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, well, not a lot, but there are some people who want to argue that Ken is like best character in the game, which I can't agree with that.
No, there's no way. That's just like when I hear the Japanese say that Nash is one of the worst characters in the game.
Yeah.
There's no way I can fathom
Can't agree
it.
with that. Momochi said top 2 was Chun and Ryu, and then after that it would be like Necalli, Dhalsim, and Cammy. I can see why, like...
It seems like Momochi's tier list is based off like players.
Yeah.
It seems like players. You know, they feel like Haitani is the best Japanese player right now. He plays Necalli. You know, Tokido's one of the top. He uses Ryu. Daigo uses Ryu. A lot of like Dhalsim players. So it's like, it feels like they're just basing it off results.
Granted, this is like really early in the game's lifespan.
To be fair, yeah.
So, other things, Tokido felt like Necalli and V-Trigger, like I said before, is the best character in the game.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know where to rank Ken right now. Just because they feel like in Japan there's only like 1 or 2 good Kens, but in the US they have like 3 good Kens. Like Brent is cool, Chris Tatarian, who else was the third Ken?
What? Julio.
Oh yeah, Julio. Sorry.
How could you very Julio, my rival?
Sorry. Yeah, and Julio.
Mm-hmm.
They like Tokido was saying like they think Snake Eyes is a really strong Geef, so they've done some preparation against.
That's
Snake
cool.
Eyes.
So like, things change their mind when they
Yeah.
see how other countries have done this. I like that. That's really cool, man.
Tokido also learns like multiple characters and uses them against Bonchan to develop the counter strat. So this is how he tests like Ryu's viability against other characters. So he's like, I'm gonna learn all these characters. Hey Bonchan, you use Ryu, play the matchup. Okay, what can Ryu do against these characters?
He trusts Bonchan to use Ryu at the level that he
Yeah.
expects to use, which is really nice to have a training partner like that.
Yeah.
It really is.
So that's pretty much like other players' thoughts. I haven't seen what other people have said, like Jay Wong or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what I've kind of saw and wrote down.
So, one more argument I might hear from you guys is, with all these crazy praise that not just us, but everyone says about Chun-Li, why are we not seeing Chun-Li win a major? Why is Chun-Li not, always top 3? Where are the Chun-Li players if she's so good?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that, Kelly?
I don't feel all the Chun-Li players take advantage of all her strengths.
So it's a Vega situation again.
Yeah.
I also feel like she's really hard to use.
That too.
I don't think she's an easy character to use.
Goichi was a really strong Chun-Li player. Had the execution, but didn't have the neutral game with her, right? Ricky has the neutral game, but not quite the execution. Get some very accidental EX SBKs instead of lightning legs, which is a very common issue with Chun-Li.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sako, good execution, but again, like maybe not the neutral game's not entirely there.
Yeah.
Right. Momochi, I haven't seen his Chun, but
Me neither.
he switched to Ken because I don't think he's...
See, the Goichi is like, even though his execution is good, he's still not comboing to the medium kick version of the legs. The leg kick version is a lot easier to combo into, and he's losing out on damage because of that.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Like, Chun-Li has got a really high ceiling, and she's going to take a lot of work.
Elyoun won that France tournament.
I would like to see him compete internationally, though.
Elyoun's got the execution, and his neutral game's kind of there too.
Yeah, he's done a lot of exploring with Chun-Li, so I want to see more Chun-Li players. But like I said, man, I think she's still a really hard character to use. So if you're a Chun-Li player, stay dedicated. You will be rewarded for sure in the future.
Yeah.
I don't see Chun-Li going down anytime soon. In terms of changes for the characters, we didn't mention that either. But if anything, they got to nerf it.
They got to nerf.
Something with the timer. It's too long.
Too long. Yeah.
And for 2 bars, it's too insane. It's too significant of a change. So
I think they're gonna end up probably putting a height restriction on legs, on air lightning legs.
The thing is that Capcom knew about the TK legs since Beta 1, and they have not changed it. And they have changed everything else in terms of Cammy and even reused neutral hurricane kick. They've taken these things out, and they have not done anything with Chun-Li's legs.
They'll
It's there to stay.
probably address it though in their first major balance patch.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have to change some of the hurt boxes. Like the forward medium punch hurt box is insane. Like it's so hard to hit Chun-Li. So I think they have to adjust some of the hitbox, hurt box data on her normals to kind of like really balance things out.
Okay. And yeah, man, this tier list, it just took us so long to construct. Really, really funny. What else did I want to mention? Was it about Chun-Li? Oh yeah, we forgot about Alex. Some people are gonna ask us about Alex. So just give me your just initial impression. Don't have to say where he goes in the tier list, but just the initial impression, just to get people
kind of low mid.
Okay.
Kind of so far. Good damage output, good pokes, but they're kind of slow. Seems to struggle in the footsie department, in my opinion.
Okay.
He has some good stuff to work around fireballs, but they're very read based, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the EX elbow can be done reactionary. I think stun gun X headbutt, like X stun gun headbutt and X stomp and stuff like that, are a little bit underexplored right now. I think those moves are really good.
Yeah.
Once people start like canceling normals into, especially standing normals into X stomp or X stun gun, it's like people were like, "Holy crap, this thing's so fast," and they just get caught.
Mm-hmm.
His meaty game is pretty decent. I don't know. We haven't fully explored that yet.
Yeah.
There's still stuff that need to be explored with him to see what kind of like mix up or pressure game that he has.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his damage output's really high. Feel the V trigger, it's like only good for that single time activation for combo extensions. Once it's activated, it's like not a whole lot.
The parry needs to be explored a little bit. It's very unique. I feel like Alex is not very good, but he's also not very bad either. So yeah. I'm kind of with you. I feel like he's somewhere in the middle and maybe even bottom middle, maybe somewhere in the B minus range, I'd say. Yeah. Somewhere around there. Right now, of course, this is like our 2-day impression, but I know you guys are going to ask us, so that's where we feel right now, and the character hasn't been explored.
Yeah.
Even the surface has been explored.
He's definitely getting looked into a lot by players because he's brand new and people want to see what he's capable of.
It's a new kid on the block.
So he is getting explored more quickly than like Fang and Rashid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Plus he's a fan favorite. So we'll probably see more of Alex, but don't know yet where he stands.
Yeah.
Don't know what the matchups are going to be like yet.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So yeah, man, anything closing you want to say, Killing, before we end this?
We'll leave up a tier image from Madman Cafe's site.
Okay.
Of what
a quick reference for you guys.
Quick reference on how this looks.
So check the video description below for that quick reference. I'm definitely gonna have to timestamp this video. This video is like over 4 hours long. It's absolutely insane. Gonna have to timestamp the hell out of this. If you are someone who has watched this video from beginning to end, you are a god. You are a god, or you just have too much time in your hands.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to mow your lawn like 10 times to listen to this whole thing. But yeah, guys, thanks for sticking around, and I hope you guys have found this at least a little entertaining, or we've enlightened you guys a little bit. Killy spent a lot of work writing this up for you guys and really getting the pros and cons, and hopefully we've tried to make our points, and hopefully we can come to as close to an agreement as we can on this tier list. And we will do more tier lists in the future as we get more results from majors, and constantly shift and change. But this is a good starting ground for us where we can, everyone knows what we've said before, and we can slowly
kind of modify it.
Yeah, modify and make the tweaks and changes. So tier list is a lot of fun. But don't forget, guys, that ultimately, no matter what, tier list is not broken down from a computer. It's an opinion.
Yeah.
It's an opinion. So you're gonna have different opinions no matter how many facts, pros, and cons, and you come up with.
So just keep in mind, besides the top 3 where we listed them in the actual order, the rest of the tier list is not in any particular order. So just because we list Bison in like the last character in A tier doesn't mean he's better than Ryu or whatever. It's just no particular order at that point.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think about this tier list, if there's any disagreements or agreements. And yeah, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this very special episode.